You are now listening to CTR Media Network.
What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above all and everlasting. Motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health, and see if we
The podcast on CTR Media Network.
That's me. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks to her, my podcast is doing great.
to 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence, all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR is who we are. The media network, that's the best by far, you know. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network.
CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.
The world is hurting right now, and it's time to rise up. As we lift ourselves up in body, mind, and spirit, we can reach out to others and be a light in a sea of darkness. Welcome to the Movement for Global Health with your host, Dr. Mary Zenit.
Our guest today is Shauna Pelton. Shauna is a transformational growth guide with a focus on transforming subconscious patterns rooted in deep trauma and its impact on relationships. That in and of itself is a lot to unpack, and we will begin to unravel this in our discussion. Shauna helps great people, leaders, and teams get extraordinary results by exploring the root cause of their challenges. Shauna's background is diverse. Her background includes holistic healing, bioenergetic, neurosomatic, and psychedelic therapy, sensation-based mindset coaching, and conversational intelligence for leaders. It is an absolute privilege to welcome our guest today, Shauna Pelton.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you,
so
Beth.
much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's a joy to be with you and your community.
Tell us about your name. Your business is Quantum Shift. Help us understand that.
So quantum shift came about for there's actually a couple of points behind the name. One is its meaning. So the quantum realm which is the realm of potential.
Mhm,
We know that the potential for possibilities exist
mhm,
in this metaphysical realm of
mhm,
existence, right?
mhm,
Dr. Larry Dossey has called it era 3 medicine, where one is able to tap into the non-local realm
mhm,
in order to access the resources that they
mhm,
need
mhm,
for change. And
mhm,
in that non-local realm is where we find our true nature and our power and bring it into this physical. And then from there, we're able to then create the change or the shift
mhm,
that we are looking for in life.
mhm,
And so, with that concept in mind,
mhm,
I actually created a process based on all of the things that I've learned over the decades of service that I've been in that actually facilitates that journey of helping people. Very much a simple process, but it's profound if you just continue to use it
mhm,
when people find themselves in moments of, their past comes up to haunt them, they're triggered
mhm,
and their
mhm,
old
mhm,
behaviors are
mhm,
present.
mhm,
There's a lot of people who realize that they're doing the things that they don't want to do, but they
mhm,
feel out of control. It's like, why can't they stop? It's like a train in motion. You can't, you
mhm,
know, you you can't really just stop it. And so this quantum shift process allows people to actually be able to influence the change that they
okay.
need to make, so to have the outcome that they desire.
Well, and it's part of
Influence.
human condition.
Mhm.
It's, how many times we hear that as, I'm just moving, I'm moving, I can't stop it. I
Yeah.
can't stop it. But what I'm
Yeah.
hearing from you is that yes, you can.
Yep.
It takes skill, it takes a
Yes.
lot of training and guidance, and I'm sure you worked hard
Mm.
personally, professionally to
Yep.
get yourself to this point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it feels like, it's interesting because the quantum realm and the shift indicates like, oh, something can happen in an instant, but there's momentum that builds up underneath the scene, underneath
Mhm,
the surface. And it reminds me of like, well, there's two visuals that I have in mind as
mhm.
kind of mentioned. It takes time, energy, effort, training, support,
Yes.
um, and the right systems. So the right support, the right
Mhm,
systems, the right kind of setting, if you would. But there's this visual that I have where, a big, huge, imagine a massive cruise ship. If
mhm,
they're on track in one direction, if they need to turn around and do an about face,
mhm.
they literally need 19 miles in order to turn around and get to that turnaround. It's a 19-mile point turn. So whatever you want to call it.
Wow, but
Yep.
that is an incredible visual
Mhm.
because you hear it all the time. It's like, I'm not making any progress. I'm
Right.
doing some things,
Right.
but you might be taking baby steps, but you got to start with baby steps.
Right. Exactly. Or as I like to tell people, if you went to, let's just imagine someone was in a like situation where they wanted to change their physical health. They
Mhm,
felt maybe out of shape or
right.
overweight, and they'd go to a personal trainer and they'd say, can you help me reach my
Yes.
goal? Whether it's a goal for strength, maybe you're doing a competition, maybe you
Mhm,
want to run a marathon, maybe you just want to lose some pounds. It doesn't matter what the goal is.
mhm, mhm,
And then if that personal trainer will say, okay, first things first, I'm going to teach you how to stretch. And we're going to get you warmed up so that you can be able to hold the next level of weights that you need to kind of build towards. But if you were to go home from that day of stretching, look in the mirror and think, this isn't working, and quit, then you'd be delusional and self-sabotage. That's what self-sabotage looks like. It's not realizing there's something happening underneath the surface. And it also reminds me of that bamboo, the tallest bamboo shoots that we know of, or those, the high, they get to the highest and they grow the fastest. It takes them 5 years. If you were to plant them, it takes 5 years for their roots to grow before they actually shoot up and become the strongest bamboo. 5 years for them
5 years.
before they actually grow.
That is incredible. That is
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. So again, what I'm hearing from you is that we need to be very patient
Yeah.
with ourselves.
We
And we're
do.
not, as people, we're just not,
We want it
especially
now.
in this society. Yeah, we want it yesterday.
Yeah.
But
Which,
the body doesn't work that way.
no. And Dr. Marion, that's why there's so many issues with codependencies and addictions. It's
Oh,
because we have that impulse for like comfort. We want the thing that we want now. We want to feel good now.
wow.
And so it's easier to go to the places that are the quick fixes where the
Mhm.
dopamine gets released, but then
Right.
you're in this vicious cycle. The dopamine goes away, the
Right.
pain's still there, the problem gets bigger, and then you go back to what you're familiar with, and then, rinse and repeat. And now all of a sudden,
Mhm.
you have an addiction. And so
Exactly.
whatever
And
that
then
addiction is, it could be any
that
number.
spirals downwards.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you feel bad about yourself and you don't know how to get yourself out of the hole. You're caught in the weeds.
Wow. There's a lot to think about here, but it's
Yeah.
empowering. Everything you're saying is empowering when you understand. Then you can take those steps
Mm-hmm.
and be more patient with yourself.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
you were a contributing author to an anthology,
Yes.
Voices of the 21st Century. That is so exciting. Please tell us more about that.
Sure. So it was the Voices of the 21st Century was a collection of stories from women who had shared their, journeys of empowering themselves. And my story was about how I came to transform myself where it started. And the title, Our Crisis is a Birth, is because of what I realized when I was going through one of my many. I'm sure, like many of us here, we can say that life can come with its set of challenges. And there's various types of challenges based on whatever it is you're growing through. So my first adult challenge was when my son was a baby and his father had died. And so I was faced with, a real, it was an obstacle, not, and I shouldn't say that, it was a difficult experience.
Mhm.
And my choice was, I could either go to the place of, like I just described, comforting myself to the point of addictions, which is
Right.
why my father's son lost his battle with addictions. He couldn't get out of that cycle. He couldn't break free from it. And so it ultimately took his life. And so I knew that if I were to continue my path, that I'd be in the same position. And then I thought my son would be an orphan. Or I could show him another example. I could show him that no matter how difficult life gets, there is another way. That in fact, you can rise above your circumstance and literally recreate yourself, like decide, who am I in the face of this challenge? Instead of letting the challenge make you or turn you into the kind of worst of us, which feels like a victim to life, and life's unfair, and we feel powerless to our circumstances or other people. We're at the mercy of all these different people and situations. And so I wanted to provide that example. and then I realized in doing that, so it's been, now my son's 28 now, and so he is he's a functioning adult. He actually adults very well. He's a great dad. He's a great partner. He's a wonderful son. I absolutely adore him, and I realized I did it right. So,
Yay, you've done
yay,
so much.
yay.
Yay.
And it was because of that decision. That moment I had a choice, and I knew I had a choice.
Exactly.
And it was hard. It was hard, but I did it. And so in that choice of transform myself, I had to go through many stages
Right.
of the healing journey. It
Right.
wasn't just like immediate, like everything's fine. It was a
Mhm.
long, just like the 19-mile rotation, it was a long journey to get to where I'm at. But the crisis that I went through, that
Mhm.
was just one of them. There's a few key crises, and if I were to look back, there's probably more, but they stand out as a few key ones in my life.
Mhm. Mhm.
um, I realized each of them had an opportunity in it for me, an opportunity for me to choose who
Mhm.
am I in the face of it, and
Mhm.
become or embody that archetype, that quality. Like,
Mhm.
who do you want to be?
Right.
Is literally a choice when you're facing this challenge. I didn't want to be a victim. I wanted to be a creator. I
Mhm.
wanted to be empowered. I wanted to be sovereign. And
Mhm.
so that was the birth. That was the crisis, was the catalyst for my birth.
Right. So what I'm hearing, and for our listeners to embrace, is when there is a state of crisis,
Yeah.
to look for that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
It's
And it's
not easy.
hard. It's
Not
not easy.
easy.
It's not easy, which is why it's important to have the help, right? There's so many helpers out there, and they can help
Exactly.
find your way depending on
Mhm.
what that way is.
Right.
It's not someone else's way, it's your way. And that's the best helper, is the one that's going to help you find your
That's
way.
right. That's the key. It's not a
Mhm.
cookie cutter
No.
approach by any means. So it's
Mhm.
not somebody
Right.
telling you what to
Right.
do.
Right.
It's somebody who helps you get in touch with yourself.
Right. Exactly. And your authentic self knows what to do.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Wow, that's so powerful. Well, I am thrilled to hear your story and then your son's story, and then it becomes a legacy.
Thank you. Yes.
Aw, it's
You.
so awesome. Tell us about self-healing and self-actualization. Those are such critical topics, but I want to unpack it a little bit for the audience.
Mhm.
Self-healing and self-actualization.
Right. So self-healing is the realization that, in order to move forward, self-actualization is like becoming, right? I'm
Okay.
actualizing my higher self. So like I
Mm-hmm.
said, like with Larry Dossey's Era 3 medicine, we're
Right,
tapping into this potential. Well, the
right.
potential is your higher self by many names. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many like mystery teachings that talk about these various names. Like in Hinduism, they call it the Atman. I
Mm-hmm.
think in Christianity, we'd call it the soul. We'd call it the
Right,
um, your inner power, your higher self. There's various names, the
right.
sovereign self to just define it. I think that's what Buddhism is, the innermost essence.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, to me, self-actualization is the journey of allowing that part of us to come forward and
Wow.
to emerge from us and to be
Mm-hmm.
expressed from us, in all that we think, that we say,
Mm-hmm.
that we
Mm-hmm.
do, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can contribute to this world and leave a mark on this world from that place.
Wow.
In order to do that, we have to heal the past because it's foundational.
Right.
Recognizing that your soul's journey of growth starts just like the bamboo tree starts
Mm-hmm.
with the roots.
Mm-hmm.
And so the quality of the environment that your roots grew in
Mm-hmm.
influence the quality of your mind, the quality of your behaviors, the
Mm-hmm.
quality of your energy, your light, how you feel about yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we look back at our past, we realize like I don't know anyone who had a perfect childhood, even
Mm-hmm.
those who will claim that their childhood was great. It's inevitable everyone goes through a challenge that leaves them feeling just a little off, like their needs weren't met. And when we realize that, it's like it's a shared human experience to have unmet needs in life, right?
So we don't need to feel bad about it.
Exactly. No one needs to feel bad. Instead, we recognize everyone's unmet needs varied based on their experiences and what their environment was growing up. And so self-healing recognizes, oh, what are my basic needs of the self? So if your higher self needs to be expressed,
Right.
your ego self, or you protected this part of you, the ego is all about your physical body. It needs safety and survival. It needs the feeling of love and belonging. It needs the feeling of like self-importance, validation, it's like something that makes you feel, I don't know, I guess that you matter, like unique.
Right.
And so if we ever had experiences in our childhood that left us feeling deficient in any way and based on those basic needs, before you grow, before you reach up to great heights, you need to be able to literally go back and repair. So working with trauma is recognizing it's just healing to restore those needs. You need safety. Well, become safe. Be that. You need love. Well, be love. Oh, you need validation. Validate yourself. Learn how to do those things and learn how to build up that ego, that part of you that needs physical support, foundational support, so that you can then focus after that on really growing into that higher expression of yourself.
Wow. It's quite a process.
It is. It is.
And what you were saying earlier, you can't really, because a lot of people, you hear it. I know I'm saying is I want to help the world. Unless you do this work, how can you help anybody?
No, that's such a good point. A lot of, I don't know if you see a lot of, say, empaths or people who will say that they're sensitives in this world. And I've realized, because I used to think of myself as an empath, I realized that my empath skill was literally a survival response from living in a traumatic environment growing up. I had to learn how to be hyper vigilant and predict the needs of people around me in order to feel safe. Like that was what I learned in my journey of having unmet needs as a child. And so it was this realization that I was sensitive, not because it was like this, like, oh, this is my like, oh, who I am. It's like, no, this is my coping mechanism. I learned to be sensitive. And then I actually transformed it. I realized that being sensitive isn't necessarily a negative thing either. It can be my superpower, so long as I know how to use it and be able to like say, okay, what's the difference between feeling vulnerable because I'm feeling and picking up everyone's energy and I have no boundaries, right? And I'm sick all the time because I'm picking up on the stuff that's in the world around me, versus knowing how to be filtering. What do I want to let in or not? I'm opening up to let people in. That's my choice. That's my power. Sensitive by choice.
And it's conscious. You're very aware of it.
Yes.
But that's a process.
Exactly. It's a process to get there. So it's like a muscle. You develop that muscle and then you become adept at it.
Wow. But it's very empowering. Everything you're saying is very empowering.
It is.
It really is. But it takes time, work. Exactly.
It's work. And you know what? The fence sitters, the critics, the doubters, the people who will basically, be in that like kind of wanting to stay in that comfort zone, they're going to hear it's work and they're going to think, oh, it's not for me. Or they're going to go, I'm going to try something else. And I'm here to say, like, go ahead, enjoy that journey of trying something else. And you'll come back to realize that it's all about the work. It's all
Exactly. It is so true. So true. So thank you so much. I mean, for your journey. Oh, this is your life's work.
yeah.
It
Yes.
really is. And now helping to empower other people
Mhm.
walk through this journey.
Yes. And
Wow.
I wouldn't have this opportunity to, be in my purpose, to feel
Mm-hmm.
fulfilled and have a meaningful life this way, had I not done my work on myself first and foremost. And, again, the crisis is a birth. And so looking at everything that you're going through
Yes.
from that lens
Yes.
changes the way that you relate with your problems.
Oh. Now let me ask you, is this the new paradigm of holistic healing?
Yes, it is. And
Um,
recognizing that the new paradigm of holistic healing incorporates
mm.
everything related to the other. So if era three medicine
Mm-hmm.
is about, accessing the non-local environment, the quantum
Okay.
realm of the inner power, the innermost self. It also incorporates era two, which was about psychology, so mind body
Mm-hmm.
connection.
Mm-hmm.
In era one, and also relational, right? Psychology is, it speaks to everything that I talked about related to your
Right.
developmental years. And then era one medicine was all about separating parts, where it was like chemistry and physical, everything
Right.
physical,
Right.
and kind of like where the experts, oh, I'm a brain expert, I'm a heart expert, I'm a digestive expert. It's like, great. Now let's bring all of it together. Recognize the body as one whole organism. There's no parts separating or walls separating, yourself, but all of it holistically is important. So when you want to heal, you have to be able to look at the parts, look at
That's right.
the mind body connection,
Right.
recognize your inner power and what's coming through on the quantum level, on the energetic level, and
Wow.
work synergistically with all of it.
Wow. Wow. Now, when you say quantum, share with our listeners what you mean.
Yeah, so the quantum world is the world of potential that is in, say, waveform. So we are in this world of information. There's data
Mm-hmm.
all around us, but we don't necessarily see it with our eyes or
Right.
sense
Right.
it with
Mm-hmm.
our nervous system is sensing the physical realm.
Okay.
So when we think of physical, we think of what we can experience with
Mm-hmm.
our senses.
Okay.
But when we think of quantum physics, we think of what's beyond and behind the senses or underneath
Okay.
it, underneath the surface. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's this realization, and there is a mathematical formula that says on the
Ah.
quantum realm, you can actually measure the smallest, say, these waves and particles that exist
Mm-hmm.
can actually become the greatest, most massive physical things. And they have finally, just in the last few years,
Mm-hmm.
made those calculations known. Like it's
Wow.
official, like that we know that it
Yeah.
does in fact happen
Mm-hmm.
to be, that concept, that old axiom that says, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this interweb
Mm-hmm.
of connections that are
Okay.
happening. So that's the quantum realm, is the invisible realm of potential.
Wow. Now I understand that you have an inner power shift academy.
Yes, I
Can you
do.
share some of this with our listeners?
Absolutely. So the Inner Power Shift Academy is the most affordable way for people to start their quest for healing and transforming themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and to kind of take, like I said, the 19-mile rotation. It takes the time that you need in order to learn the skills and get the support that you need. So it's a hybrid program that I've created. I actually
Mm-hmm.
started it when COVID hit, and it's evolved since then. And
Wow.
the academy is supportive in a few different ways. There's education every month. You're going to learn a new teaching associated with the 3 pillars of the journey. So it's like working on your personal level, meaning all the healing work that you need to do, so you understand the ego's unmet needs and like what's coming through the soul's, agenda. And then we're working on the relational level and developing like the skills, so to be able to relate differently with life, with other people, and even with ourselves, or the opportunities that we have. And then finally, like accessing that innermost level and realizing the energetic influence of our life. And so those are the 3 pillars of the work. It's a year-long journey, and I actually have a special that for the holidays that I am offering for people to be able to join. And I do live classes in there as well. So it's not just people self-studying. I actually have bi-weekly classes that people join. So I facilitate them through the healing processes, and then give them the support that they need so that they can have the results that they're looking for.
Oh, that is incredible. What I would like to do is include the link in our show notes. So if anyone's interested, they can hop on this special. It sounds incredible. It sounds absolutely incredible.
Thank you, Dr. Mary. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that is fantastic. So we'll be sure to include that link below.
Okay.
Well, this has been absolutely delightful, Shauna. I thank you so much. Is there anything else, any closing words you'd like to add for our listeners?
I think in closing, if anyone who has listened up until this point is realizing that this is speaking to them, there's something inside of you that is turned on and tuned in, that you want to honor that part of yourself and pay it the respect that it deserves by just following that inner impulse to kind of get curious about maybe what else there is to learn, and something that you didn't know before that you might be opening up to. Right? Life is a continuous journey of learning. And if we think we know it all, then we stop ourselves from having access to the potential of our being.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's always next step. Really. There's always a next step. And you have done so much work and have such a depth of knowledge.
All right, so at this time we are welcoming author,
what a blessing,
businesswoman, coach, podcast influencer, Coach Tina Ramsey.
What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here. We got it, reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network. Start the show. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR is who we are. The media network, that's the best by far, you know. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. Your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network. Start the show. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR is who we are. The Media Network, that's the best by far, you know. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network.
And we are live. Welcome everyone to the launch of Reinvented to Rise Volume 2. Oh my goodness, it feels so good to say that. I am so happy to be here with you guys, and thank you so much for tuning in. I know that we're probably coming in across several different platforms here. We're over here on LinkedIn, we're over here on YouTube, and we are here on Facebook. With me today, I have the authors of the book and the documentary. So we're going to talk to you a little bit today about our book. And as you know, we have been bombarding you with messages, letting you know that we're starting our Amazon bestseller campaign. And it started 3 minutes ago. So I want you to be sure, as I put the link up here right now, that you go and you get this book, get the ebook, and support us. We would greatly, greatly appreciate that. We're in a campaign to be bestsellers. Why? Because this book should be a bestseller. We know it is. We just want to go ahead and get the Amazon stamp on it so that they know too. All right. But anyway, so with me today, I have, so far, we've had 4 of our authors up here, and more are to come. We've got Deidre Hill. We also have Jackie Scott. We also have Tabitha Russell. And we have Pixie Lee. All of them are authors again in the book. And as I stated, or as has been stated in all of the advertisements that we've put out, we did a book and a documentary. So you have to stay tuned, because truly the book is just the beginning. The documentary gives you a little more insight into the ladies that you see here. But tonight, again, that's for another time. It's coming. I want you to go ahead and meet these ladies. Let them tell you a little bit about themselves and tell you about their chapters in their books. So I'm just going to go in the order, actually, that I see up here on my screen. And the first person who's right next to me is Deidre Hill. Deidre, please tell us about yourself and your chapter. Welcome. I'm so happy that we're all here tonight together.
Good evening. Are we in evening now?
Yes.
Because it's daylight still outside, but hello, everyone. Thank you, Alethea, for having all of us on here. And it's really an honor. It's been an honor to work with you and to work on this project. I am Deidre Hill. I am a higher education administrator and educator. I've been in higher education for 25 years, working at various colleges and universities across the country. And the chapter that I decided to write that was very, very closely related to Reinvented to Rise is about my journey through a very, very severe car accident where 3 people were killed actually in that car accident, and but 5 survived, and I was one of the survivors of that. And this was an opportunity for me to share that story and to align with the theme of reinvented to rise, because every time we go through a challenge or a tragedy in life, we do have to reinvent ourselves. So I'm happy to be here, and I can't wait for the rest of the discussion.
Oh my goodness. And look, I'm happy to have you here and so blessed to have your story in the book. You know, we are all dealing with things, and I knew that your experience and basically how you persevered, because, you know, this book is about perseverance, strength, courage, all the things that we need in our reinvention process. And I knew that what you had to contribute would definitely help somebody else. So thank you so much for being a part of this. It has been an absolute joy to work with you and with all the women here. So I'm looking forward to everybody else finding out what we already know about one another and the things that we've already shared. So I'm again so excited about that.
Thank you.
So next to me, I see there is Jackie Scott, who's coming up next. Jackie, please tell us a little about yourself and your chapter. Share with us what we're going to find out when we read what you have to say in Reinvented to Rise.
Thank you, Alethea. It is a joy to be here. This has been an awesome journey. I am Jackie Scott, and I am coming to you from Columbia, Maryland. It is so exciting to be a part of this project. I serve as a senior leader in county government in the human service sector. And I am a lawyer by training, also have a degree in business. So I call myself sort of a multi-sector expert in the sense that I really work with people by using both my background in business and law and human services to really help people emerge into their best selves. And I particularly work with high-performing women who are looking for a way to really reignite after having such pressures to produce day in and day out. They find themselves stuck, unfulfilled, and how do we move past that? And so my chapter, which is called Don't Let Your Yesterday Steal Your Tomorrow, is really birthed out of a loss for me, a tremendous loss. I lost my mother a few years ago, and I talk about how when a woman loses her mom, it changes her. And the emergence of reinvention that I'm going through, that I went through and continue, because we're on a journey, and I talk about that in the chapter. We're constantly reinventing ourselves. And I just talk about connecting to the pieces that I had to understand that I lost when I lost my mother, because the things that I just didn't know about myself, the things that I'm searching through to find out, and then how does that help me define who I want to be going forward? So through my story and through a few tips that I've learned along the way to emerge whole, I've shared those in my chapter, and I hope we get a chance to connect with the readers around all the tools that we've each shared. But those are what mine are about.
Wow. That is tremendous. And I've read your story. I've read everybody's story, and it really is impactful. And so many people, that's the thing about, you know, the whole theme behind reinvention or the whole reinvention process. There's so many different things that we all deal with. And I know that people can relate to having to reinvent after having lost a loved one. Someone so dear who's been so instrumental in our lives.
Yes.
And so I know that there are going to be so many people who can relate to what you say, you know, and be able to relate to the advice that you're giving to them on exactly how it is they can make it through. They can persevere, you know, how it is that they can reinvent in the midst of all that they're going through. And, it just may be the catalyst for somebody to reinvent. You just never know. So thank you. Thank you again for being a part of this project. And I want to remind everyone, just take a quick little break right here to say we're running our bestseller campaign right now. Go on over. We have the link scrolling at the bottom of the screen here. Go over, purchase the ebook. It is $1.99. Let me tell you, it will be the best $1.99 you've ever spent, okay? For what you're getting, for the richness, for just all that this is going to deposit in you. Give it as a gift. Give it to somebody who may be at a point where they need to reinvent. Give it to them so that they can be encouraged by what we have to say as well. So again, the link is on all of our social media platforms. We've posted it, and it's also scrolling at the bottom of this screen. Go on over, purchase the book. Now, what we want to stress as we run this campaign is that you must download the book. In other words, you have to redeem the book before it really counts as a part of our campaign. And we really appreciate you doing that for us. And be on the lookout, because of course the ebook isn't the only thing we have. We also have our print book coming out probably in the next week or so. And again, that documentary that we'll tell you more about as we go along. We don't want to lose focus too much here tonight. But anyway, so again, thank you, Jackie and Deidre. We so appreciate what you have contributed to this book. And I'm telling you, you guys look forward to reading their chapters. So next up, I want to bring Tabitha Russell. Thank you so much. I'll just let you know that I met these ladies at some point, somewhere in my journey in life. And when I thought about the book, I knew that they had stories that they would be able to share that would definitely be a blessing to many. And Tabitha, of course, you were definitely one of them as well. Tell us a little about yourself, and what can we find out when we read your book, when we read your chapter?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Ms. Alethea, for allowing me this time, space, and opportunity. My name is Dr. Tabitha Russell. I am the CEO and founder of Inside Inspired Women, which is the home of Breakthrough Millionaires. And I help women who are stuck or challenged in their financial literacy to now take back their rightful authority and help them to create a generational wealth legacy. And so in my chapter, it's called The Unopened Book of Her. And the reason why I wrote that chapter was because I found myself at one point stuck in a place of where I lost everything. And I didn't have a way out, an immediate way out, because there was nobody there to help me guide through the challenges that I was having financially. And so I just talk a little bit about what that process was like and how I finally was able to gain the knowledge I needed for financial literacy, which eventually helped me to get back on track financially as well as through business and create multiple streams of income. So that's what I'm talking about in my chapter.
Definitely inspiring, especially for our entrepreneurs out there, for those who just are starting in business. You need to read her chapter to find out the things that she's already been through. She can save you some heartache, okay? She can save you some heartache and pain and point you in the direction of doing things differently so that you don't have to, go through some of those stumbling blocks that we frequently go through. And that's what it's all about. It's about helping one another, right? Because if I know a way to get around an obstacle, or if I know a way to push through a process and I have mastered that, I think it's an obligation to help other women like me who struggle maybe with some of the same things. I think it's an obligation that we have to help them through it. And I know that, reading your chapter is going to inspire some people who may be dealing with, just starting out in their entrepreneur journey, and it will encourage them to keep going, and you know, encourage them to know that they can be successful in what they do. So thank you, Tabitha, for being a part of this and for adding to our reinvented tribe, because that's exactly what we have here. We've got a tribe of women. We started out as authors and we became family. We really did. Over the months, we have become family, and it is a great group to be a part of. Thank you so much. And next up, I see Pamela Straker. Thank you for being here today. It has been an absolute joy working with you on this project, my heroic caregiver. So,
Well,
I
I
already
want
know, but definitely you
I
tell us a
want,
little more.
okay. My name is Dr. Pam Straker, and I am actually very, very pleased and honored to be a part of this project. The women that I've met have been really rather incredible, and so for me, it's humbling. I really see reinvention as part of a normal life cycle. And as I say in my chapter, I feel as if, in life, we're going to be confronted with challenges. We can't avoid that. And that sometimes the challenges, and in many instances, the challenges force us to reinvent ourselves. And that's how I came at the chapter. I First of all, thank you, Alethea, for including me in the project. And I am at this point in my life, I met the challenge of losing my mom. And I felt as if there was information I wanted to share with others about the whole process of caregiving, about planning and being ready for that process, not only for your loved ones, but for yourself. And so that is the work that I am doing. I hope the chapter will give some methods for handling or dealing with the need to reinvent uh, or the need to confront the many challenges all of us will wind up facing. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And all of us at some point face having to be a caregiver. Some of us may have faced it earlier in life than others, but at some point we all face that. And I don't think that there is enough information out to help us through that process. So I thank you for giving us your knowledge, for giving us your expertise, and for sharing your real heart for it, because I know you have a real passion
I do.
for this. Yes,
I
absolutely. Absolutely. So I thank you for that. And you all get to hear that, you get to hear what she says, in reference to all of that. And she brings a lot of experience with her. She has done this kind of work all of her life. And we're very fortunate to be able to hear her story and for her to be able to help us to get along better in the process of being caregivers. So thank you. Thank you so much. And then over to my far left, I have none other than Lindia Grant. Thank you. I'm so happy that I know we had a few technical issues. I'm glad you got in here. We would
It was
not.
my fault after I saw what happened. It was my fault, Alethea. Can you hear
It's
me?
okay. I hear you.
I did not scroll down and say enter studio. I was there, but I didn't enter the studio. So what can I tell you? I'm just telling you like it is.
I understand. Look, and that's what
a
we
country
look for
girl
you
in
to
the
do.
city trying to make it.
Right. Welcome, Lindia. We're so happy to have you. Let me
Glad
tell
to be
you,
here. Glad to
you
be here.
add
I've
the
been
spice
ready
to
a
us
long time
reinventing
for
the
this
world.
day. Yes.
I'm sorry.
I said I've been waiting a long time for this day. This was exciting.
Yes, it is exciting. Well, welcome. Now it's your turn. You tell us a little bit about you and tell us what we're going to hear in your chapter of the book.
Well, at this point, I turned 72 years old in a few weeks on May 6th. So I call myself semi-retired, but I still have to get up and go to work every day because I'm an African American woman, been divorced 30 some years. And so my retirement is not enough to keep me going. So I have to work and be retired at the same time. And you know what I had to do the other day is just say Romans 8:28, and I know that all things work together for the good. So I had to tell myself this too is good because it is what it is. We can't worry about what the husband did and didn't do, and you have to take care of your kids by yourself. So anyway, let me get off of that. Let me tell you that I am a radio show host. As a matter of fact, my show is on the air right now, live, 6 p.m. Well, it's not live, but because I'm over here live. But my show is on every week, Radio 1, Spirit 1340 from 6 to 6:30. So it has been pre-recorded this week so I could be with you, but it is there. And just so folks know and they can look for a copy, Dr. Ward is on there, Dr. Amanda Ward, talking about how HIV/AIDS is up throughout the area and the country in the Black community 300%. I'm telling you. And she wants us to know, even us senior citizens need to pay attention because there's so many of us single. Might want to try to get into some trouble. So we need to know. So I thought I'd mention, I've been doing Radio 1 for 12 years, and I write my column for the Washington Informer newspaper, the Religion Corner. I've been writing that corner for 18 years, and it became syndicated about 5 years after I started writing it, and I didn't realize it, and it started getting picked up by the Black press all over the country. So I'm pleased that my parents were ministers, and when Denise Roloff asked me to write the Religion Corner, she said, "You think you can do that?" I said, "Yeah, my daddy was a bishop. He preached to us every day." So you know how it is in the Pentecostal church. You're in church all the time. So I ought to know how to write a Religion Corner. So it has worked, and I was confident about it because I heard so many sermons from my mother and father and us singing and having church right at home. Why couldn't I write a Religion Corner? My father said everything in the Bible is scriptural. Everything that happens in our world is scriptural. And he was right. So that's what I can do. I can hook the scriptures to everything. Now, my chapter, I won't talk about it much, but it took courage because I was only an entrepreneur after had been in business only not even a year when I got the idea. So had just started my business and hadn't done anything in the business world. But Reverend Jesse Jackson was running for president, and we had tried a lot of things to get our company known. Critique Career Management Services Incorporated in Washington, D.C., wanted to write resumes and do job search techniques for people. But nobody knew we were there. So read my chapter and find out how I was able to actually get to Reverend Jesse Jackson, and then the bust is sitting in Operations Push in Chicago, and it is called his official bronze bust. You got to buy the book to hear how it all happened.
All right. All right. So look, she gave you a lot of information, and she gave you a good bit of information about her chapter too.
You got to read what it is.
That's right.
I wanted them to want to know.
That's right. Well, I appreciate you so. You have been a tremendous breath of fresh air to this group. Let me tell you, it's amazing. You never know when you start on a project like this. Now, granted, I know all the women in here, but they didn't know one another. And the way that we've been able to mesh together has been absolutely tremendous. And I'm so grateful for that. I am so grateful. If someone could actually, and I see what you're saying, Jeanette, and we're going to get that link over to you. I apologize. It's not over there on LinkedIn. I'm sorry, on YouTube. I'm going to get it to you. So hold tight. Mm-hmm. But I'm so grateful to have each and every one of these ladies, and just so blessed by this process, by this project overall. Now, I see somebody else who has pulled up here who is a diehard baseball fan, And she said that she was definitely making this launch, but she also had an obligation to support her team. But I'm so glad that her obligation to us came in the mix somewhere. And that's Pixie Lee. Pixie, I'm so happy to see you. Welcome.
Hello. Glad to be here. Had to get in a better spot. Mine wasn't working.
That's right, even in a better spot. So listen, tell us about yourself and tell us a little about your chapter. What are we going to hear when we read your chapter?
Okay. Well, hello, everyone, and good evening. I am Pixie Lee. I am an author, publisher, ghostwriter, and speaker. I was a part of the first Reinvented to Rise. And in that one, I talked about how I had to reinvent myself to the business owner that you see now, because I had to get away what other people thought about me and what other people thought I should be and what other people called me. A lot of people say that it's not what people call you, it's what you answer to. And while that is true, what they call you also sticks with you. So I had to get out from under that umbrella to emerge as a successful business owner of multiple companies who has done entrepreneurship and corporate America. So when it came time to do the second go round, you would think, okay, well, she already reinvented herself. Why she reinvent herself again? Because I'm here to tell you that the reinvention doesn't just take place one time. It's a continued process. So while I was a successful business owner, my businesses weren't doing what I wanted them to do. They weren't as successful as I knew they could be. So what did I have to do? Go back and reinvent myself a second time. So once you grab the book, which I hope everyone will, you'll see exactly what that journey looks like. And I'll also give you some tips for you to not only reinvent yourself, but to make sure that your business is doing what it needs to do.
Awesome. Awesome. So if at first you don't succeed, you try again, right?
Try again.
And try again. Absolutely. You cannot give up is the point. And, you know, that is definitely an underlying theme behind what we're talking about in the book. You know, that's what you do when you reinvent. You have to do, and sometimes, just like Pixie said, you know, it might take 1, 2, 3. She was in the first book. She's reinventing again right here in the second book. So that is what we are trying to stress. We want you to understand that there is no point. And, you know, we are all what I affectionately call risers, you know, that, yeah, kind of 40 plus, around somewhere around there age. And this is the age where some of us feel that, you know, it's too late to reinvent. And we are here to tell you that is not the case. No matter the situation, you've seen all the various circumstances. We're writing about a number of different things. Don't think that it's ever too late and that, you know, those middle years mean rocking chair. It may if you want it to. If you want it to. The point is you make the decision on what you want to do, but don't do it just because it's the middle year. If there's something where you want to reinvent, definitely age and no other demographic has anything to do with it. So, ladies, so tell me this. We have a little more time that we have here on our launch show. What is it that you want people to know more than anything about what is really required to reinvent yourself? What is really required? What tips can you give them on, you know, going for that thing perhaps that they stayed away from, or, you know, redoing something? What is it that you want them to know? What tips do you have?
I want to go first.
Okay.
I want to say what happened to me is, and I believe it would happen to a lot of people. So many folks used to tell me how much I've done, you know, in 30-something years. I remember Les Brown's fiance at the time. I was working for him and learning and how to be a motivational speaker. And my mom had just died on Christmas Day. And she kept telling me, because she learned about my work and could see it online and everything, kept telling me, Lydia, you have everything you need. You can be out there rolling. And I'm looking at her. See, I didn't know it. I didn't feel it. And I still don't, because I feel better about it. But what you have to do, and I'm saying this to people because it happened to me, someone who had done a lot, worked for presidents and done all kinds of things, but I still didn't, I felt like I was the girl from the country. For some reason, I just wasn't there. And so what we have to do is reprogram our thinking. That's part of reinventing that I want to say. You have to reprogram your thinking, because I was stuck somewhere back there, and I had been steady walking, one foot in front of the other, and I was way far away from that, but yet my mind had not gotten there. So the reprogramming my thinking, my kids can tell you how much I started listening to motivational speakers and how I started repeating. Everybody that know me know I had stuff all on the wall, like in the movie with um, Color Purple, when the girls were learning how to read. I had stuff up on my wall trying, because when you're really trying to come from being somebody who picked cotton and put in tobacco, and you in the city and you do, it's a lot to change. And it won't happen overnight. You have to work at it. You have to work at it. And I want people to not give up on themselves and know that anything you want to be, you can be, but you got to believe it. And you have to walk in that thing, because if you don't believe it, you're not going to do
it. That's good.
And be willing to put in the work. Be willing to put in the work on you, even when the naysayers are all around you.
Right.
Don't listen to that. It could be family. I had some family that told me, you need to go back and get you a job. But I had to be able to, my programming had gotten strong by then, so I was able to keep it moving.
We have to reprogram so that we can get to the point where we can make changes. Reprogram.
And once that happens, you're in the safe zone then.
Right. Safe. Anybody else want to chime in?
Sure, I will. I would say the first thing is to not let your fears overtake what you know you can accomplish. Have the courage to stand on what you know you can already do. If God gave you that vision, He will give you provision. You don't have to worry about that. So the fear that's inside of you is meant to stop you, but use it as fuel to push yourself forward. Because like Miss Lindia said, you have everything that you need already inside of you. You have all the tools, all the equipment. You may need to brush it off a little bit because you haven't used it in a while, but it is already there. But don't feed into the fear, feed into your strength, feed into your courage, and surround yourself with people, like-minded people, who are going to breathe life into you and what you're trying to do.
Yes. Who you have around you means everything when you're looking at reinventing. You don't want people who are going to hinder you. You want people who are going to help you. I love that. I love that. Let's hear from somebody else.
What I'd like to share, Alethea, is and what I hope people get out of all of our stories is that challenges and obstacles are a part of life, and we should lean into them and expect them. I also believe that when we go through our struggles, whatever they may be, that each time we get stronger and stronger and stronger. And so almost kind of looking at our lives with the expectation that a challenge is going to come, just like we expect that success will come at some point. I think our challenges are there to help us learn, to help us persevere. I'd like someone to explain to me, how can you persevere if you don't have a challenge, or if you don't have any kind of struggle to go through? What are you persevering from? So lean in, accept the challenges as they come. Know that even though you go through a struggle, you will have to come out of it at some point. As my fellow authors have said, keep going through it. Don't stop. Continue the journey and just rejoice at the joy at the end of that struggle.
Yes.
And can I just say and to endorse what she just said? I heard somebody on the other day say it twice. If a mountain was smooth, you couldn't climb it. You couldn't get up there if it was smooth. So you got to go through all that hard time getting up that mountain. But you can get up there.
Right.
Because there's some things for you to grab onto as you go.
Yeah, that's powerful. That is powerful. Uh-oh, Pam, I think you just went mute on us. There you go.
Am I here? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to just comment about my colleagues are just fabulous and they have laid out much of what we all need to hear. And they know, I've said this before, I'll repeat it again. It is so important when we're going through our most stressful times to become peaceful within ourselves and to quiet ourselves. We are often distracted by the noise around us, and we're listening to all kinds of things that don't pertain to what it is that we're going through. And so for me, I think I've mentioned it before, I think it's so important to become kind of the master of listening to yourself and really hearing that information that all of my colleagues have talked about. It was there all the time, but we weren't quiet enough to really let it come forward. And I think that is so important as we try to accomplish anything, as we try to go through anything. If we've gone through physical harm, it becomes important for us to give ourselves a break, just get quiet, listen, and really shut out all of the noise. So if that message resonates with you, that is what I really believe.
Get quiet. Spend some quiet time, and it's not always easy for us to get, but you know what? It is a must. It is a must if we really want to hear and get settled and be able to figure which direction do we really want to go, because there is a lot of noise, probably more noise than ever these days. But the importance of just kind of stealing away, as my grandmother used to say, is it's just imperative. Absolutely imperative.
Yeah. What I would add, Alethea, is for us as women in particular, we have to watch out for the damage that shame can do to us. It isolates us, it keeps us bound. And what we tend to do is if we think something didn't work perfectly, or we make a mistake or we mess up, we go inside and we hide ourselves.
Yes.
And reinvention is a part of what God and what nature has put before us from the beginning. Look at what happens to the butterfly, right? Starts off as a caterpillar, right? What happens to diamonds? They don't look like diamonds when they first start out, or pearls are not pearls when they first start out. There are rough edges all around us in life, and we're going to get poked and prodded and cut sometimes by those rough edges. And if we just keep going and we surround ourselves, I call them tribes that help us survive. Who are our people that no matter how dusty and we look in the process, that will believe in us and that will lift us up? We don't have to be bound by the story in our mind that we tell ourselves about perfection. It is a rebirthing process. And those of us who have birth children know. Like that 9-month process, and that
It's a process.
is a process, right? And then the actual labor is a
Yes.
process. It
Yes.
is painful, it is challenging, it is all those things. But who said it? You just gotta breathe. You just gotta breathe. And you gotta have that person who you're holding hands with and who's doing the count for you. And that's what this reinvention is about. Who can you surround yourself and that you have this vision and you know you can move forward.
Listen, if anybody's interested in getting into podcasting, grab this book. Go on Amazon, grab this book. It goes with me almost everywhere. This book has like a workbook. It has places you can fill it in. It tells you how to monetize your podcast. It tells you how to set it up. It tells you about sponsorships. It even, listen, go on Amazon, get this book. And this is the Bible for podcasters. Listen, it was ranked #1 in podcasting books. Look right here. Best new podcasting book by Book Authority. Right there. Boom. And a little secret. Y'all, when you grab this book, I think it's page 43. There is a code on there. Listen, you can get access to her class, her course. Get her course. It's worth hundreds of dollars. But this book is it's less than $50. Grab this book on Amazon. I'm telling you, I carry it everywhere. She is the best. Grab this book on Amazon.
Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com to join us and drive your trucking career to new heights.
Understand. They don't understand unless you're there. All right, so we're gonna have a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Are you feeling overwhelmed with projects to build your business? Search no more. Introducing Borrow My VA, a virtual assistant service, your one-stop solution to bid farewell to stress and manage multiple tasks with very little effort. We specialize in website building, funnel creation, automations, and email marketing, all under one roof. And here's the best part. We provide all these incredible services at budget-friendly rates. Discover a hassle-free way to handle your projects. No more worries about onboarding or finding that perfect virtual assistant. Our team is all set to tackle your tasks with efficiency. Now, once you delegate the task, consider it done. Say goodbye to overwhelm. Don't miss this fantastic opportunity to elevate your business. Join our list of satisfied customers and book a free consultation today at borrowmyva.com. That's borrowmyva.com. Join the Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com.
Thank you to borrowmyva.com and shetrucking.com for sponsoring this episode today with our special guest, Kia Johnson. Listen, before the commercial break, we was talking about getting into the insurance game and understanding the importance of it through life. Listen, life will teach you, but also how she not only took her life experiences, her and her sister actually made it so they can thrive, teach the community, and have a six-figure business, and then teaching ages on top of that. Now we're going to talk a little about mindset, because baby, entrepreneurship is not for the weak at heart. We're going to bring Miss Kia back to the stage. Thank you, Miss Kia. Listen, let me tell you. So when you're building, because people don't understand, you have to build something from nothing, right? So tell me the type of mindset that you and your sister had to have to even get to this point in your life.
Thank you so much. The first thing I would say is my sister, her name is Aubrey Johnson. She is really the one that drove the bus. Like, honestly, I was fine. Like, I'll just sell my little policies, make my little money, and I don't have to worry about it. But she wanted to be more global. And she said, I can't do it without you. And so anytime anybody needs me, that's my button. Like, she said she needed me, and I'm like, all right, let's go. So the mindset that we have to have as an entrepreneur is you cannot quit. You have to know when to pivot. You have to know, okay, this is not working. You have to be able to track your success, track your failures, because you will fail, and then pivot and know when it's time. Like, sometimes people marry to whatever they're doing and they just want to do that one thing, but it doesn't always work. So when you feel like it's not working, don't just throw in the towel, just pivot, figure out, okay, what did work? Let me hone in on that, throw away what didn't work. But you have to know, and you have to just have some type of, I have God, Jesus Christ, I'm just going to say it. But whatever it is that you have to have that, and just keep going back to that and making sure you don't give up. You can pivot, just don't quit.
Come on, say that, sis. I know that's right. Listen, I am the pivot queen. You hear me, baby? Get my crown, because a lot of times people are ashamed of pivoting. It's like, no, like, if it ain't working, you ain't got to do something different, right? Yes. So pivoting is so important, and it takes wisdom to know when to pivot. So a lot of people just think it's something negative. No, it's not. Embrace it and understand that I'm wise enough to understand that, yo, baby, I got to go something else. I got to do something else. So kudos to you all for doing that. I mean, listen, I'm passionate. Can't you hear it? Passionate about pivoting, honey.
We love watching you and your success. And so I appreciate you even, considering to have me on your show, because we do watch you and we see just how great you have, coveted that thought process. Like, let me go on over here. And, some people might look at it a negative way, but when you're in this industry and you're in the business of being an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's right. Nothing wrong with it at all. And and you have to give people their flowers when they own up to it, to say, hey, baby, this didn't work. I mean, oh, honey. I mean, Walt Disney, how many times did he fail before he had Walt Disney? Like, for real, this is, now everyone knows what Disney World is, but he failed so many times, but he didn't actually fail. He was just finding what his niche was, and he was pivoting every time something was not successful. So, listen, it's all about it. So hold your head up. Anybody that's listening, hold your head up. If you have to pivot, it's okay. That's right. Come on. Only hold your head down when you're admiring your shoes, baby. Okay.
I love that.
Don't play with me, honey. For real. So now with I can tell you're passionate about what you do. You're passionate about helping your community. At what point and how do you take out time for yourself, for self-care?
Great. Oh, you always got the best questions. Oh, I watch a show, and when I watch it, I'm like, oh, she in there. I have God, and I have my husband, my family, and they won't let me go too far. And it's always like, okay, you need to go to sleep, or get some rest, take these 2 days off, and then come back and run. So for me, it's always reading books. And so anytime I have time to read, then I'm already escaping this, because I form a movie in my mind when I read my books. Even when I'm reading the Bible, I see it, I see the pictures in my mind. So that's always my escape and my self-care, because you have to have something to keep your mind, because your mind constantly runs when you're an entrepreneur. I'm constantly thinking of the next. And then I got to using the app Otter. I hope I can say, the name, and I just talk into it. And that way I don't have to keep thinking about it. I can just talk into it and kind of escape that way. So I just started doing that, and that's helped me tremendously be able to sleep better.
Oh, that is wonderful. That's a great tip, sis. Thank you for sharing that, because I will have a notepad beside my bed and I will just write it down, or I'll speak it into my phone. I love that idea, because entrepreneurs, for the most part, we're creatives. So we have it going. A lot of people said, I have ADHD. It's not per se ADHD. It's because you're gifted in your thought pattern and you don't know how to cut it off. So it's not that you're just, I can't stay focused. Yeah, you can stay focused on this. You're focusing on so much. It doesn't mean you can't stay focused. And that's what I know a lot of entrepreneurs have. But overall, you have to be able to release, let it go. It's like, okay, I need to chill out. Let me go cook dinner or something.
Yes.
Because life happens. Okay, so now, because you are so passionate at what you do, and I know sometimes you become attached to some of your clients, how do you balance that though? Like, how do you balance not getting too attached, that thin line? How do you do it? Because baby, I'll be taking them cookies every day. I'll be like, come on, sweetie. How do you balance?
Well, I'm just gonna say it this way. I'm not antisocial, so I won't claim being antisocial, but I'm actually pretty shy in real life. So I'm able to balance it, because on the phone and when I'm doing my thing, I am a superstar. But if you see me like in a room, I'm chilling until I'm comfortable, and then I'm loud and crazy. But for the most part, I'm an observer. So I don't feel the need to save them. I just feel the need to help them. And once I know that I've helped them, then I can shut it off.
Ooh, hold up. That just hit my spirit, girl. What? I don't see a need to save them. I see a need to help them. Yes. Come on, my God. Because we have a heart sometimes and we feel like we can't save the world. Okay, that's just proven. But I can help them, but I don't have to save them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that one. I just have to post on a Facebook post for that. My goodness, I love it. I love it. Now, throughout as selling insurance, or you've been speaking with families, is there like a story that resonate with you? Maybe someone have told you a story that has helped them, or something heartwarming, or something that because of the services that you provide, it really helped them. Do you have anything that sort of stands out?
I have a lot, but I've been doing this for years, at least since 2011 in the selling part. But the one I will say that makes me feel the most pride is when I went into a woman's home and she lived in a boarding room, and that room was so jam packed with stuff. She's like a hoarder, but I didn't blink. I walked in. I'm like, "Hey, girl, where's the chair? Let me clear this up so I can sit down, so we can get down to business." And then I'm talking to her, and she's kind of embarrassed about her home, but I don't care. Like, I'm going to help you regardless. But then when I started going over the benefits, and this is for Medicare Advantage, and I went over the benefits with her and sent her to a doctor's office that went and picked her up. And, she's taken the bus before that. And I was like, no, I can find you a doctor that's going to really help you. They have activities and they help her. And she called me and said she felt like a queen. She felt like a queen. They treated her with respect. Before she was even dressed, they were sitting outside. They used a medical lift to pick her up. And she, we in the hood, so we're just going to say that. Yeah. They all like, oh, she got a driver to come get her. So she's showing off for the neighbors. So I said, hey, give them my phone number. I'll come help.
I love it. I love it.
To me the most, because she was sad when I went in, and then she was like, boom, when I went out. So her whole tone and her whole spirit was lifted.
Wow. Okay, so with that, okay, so what role does trust play in your relationship with your clients? You know, when you're dealing with the community.
You have to have they have to have the utmost trust in you. You're dealing with their Medicare number, their social security numbers, their health issues, their health information, their medication, where they live, their you have their entire identity in your little computer, and so they have to trust that you would not either sell it or use it for ill gotten gains or anything like that. So the trust that you have to have as a life insurance agent is the utmost trust, right up there with an attorney, because you have to tell us everything.
Wow. That's interesting. I know trust is very important. Now, beyond financial success, how do you measure like the impact that you're actually making in your community through the Medicare services? How do you measure that?
Great question. So we just started measuring kind of our events that we do out and about, because you can talk on the phone with people all day, but we are in 45 states. So you don't know who they are, you don't know where they live. But in our community, we host events, we partner with a doctor's office or clinic, a series of clinics. And that to me was our huge measure of success, that we're doing the right things, because doctors don't just, put their logo next to your logo and say, hey, we're having an event with this XYZ company. So for us right now, that's our huge measure, that we're doing the right thing and we're making a difference in people's lives.
Ooh, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. Woo, honey. I mean, y'all doing it. I love it. I love it. So keep impacting your community and reaching out and helping those who you can help without saving the world.
Right.
I got that.
Yes.
You don't have to save the world, but you can help who you can help. So so what do you have to offer in the sense of, okay, so it seems like it's two-part. That's why I'm just trying to word my question, because you can help agents, people who want to get into it, but then on the other side, you can help people who need help to buy insurance, Medicare, and get all that set up. Now, are you restricted to a certain state to sell your insurance?
We are right now in 45 of the 50 states.
Okay.
So we're just not in the Dakotas and Alaska and Hawaii. We could be, but we don't have any clients there yet.
Let me get my clapper. Hold on. What? 45 states? That's awesome.
We just added a new state. We were 44. We just added a new state yesterday. So.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the people who need insurance, because we're not doing these GoFundMe and fish plates. We're not doing that no more. Okay? No more. So, okay, how can people get in contact with you to set up something for insurance?
All right. So you can either give us a call directly at our call center. We're open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Wherever you live. So you can give us a call. Our number is 888-682-1325. Again, it's 888-682-1325. When you call that number, it'll ask you which product you're calling for. You can press 1, 2, or 3, and then you'll get to an agent that is able to walk you through your options, either it be life insurance or Medicare. The youth sports, we usually have to ask you a few questions and then run a quote for you, but we can definitely take your call over the phone. We're also our website. I'm sorry, I was losing my train of thought. My website is lalfinancial.com. So you can reach us one or two ways, whether you want to be an agent or get assistance with your Medicare or your life insurance plans. you can hit us up, lalfinancial.com or 888-682-1325. And if we're busy, leave us a message. We promise we'll give you a call back.
Woo! Okay. Woo, that's a lot. Let me tell you, y'all have a call center? That's
Yes.
right up there, girl. I mean, what?
Yes, we have a call
Y'all
center.
doing it.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing scrappy over here, baby. Y'all is doing it with excellence, and congratulations to you on that. Oh my goodness. So that's the one stop. So whether they're buying something or acquiring about a quote, or whether they want to be an awesome agent like you all are, and they want to get into the game. Because listen, I didn't really know insurance agents was really like that. I didn't know. Everybody's like becoming an insurance. I'm like, really? I mean, that's where it's at. I was like, that's where the money is too. They was like, yes.
There's a lot in there. It's a lot in there. But what I will say is that there's a lot of shiesty people, I guess, in any industry, but this is our industry. So we have to be careful who we attach ourselves to and attach our name to, because some people just want to get rich off of you and what you do. And we can say definitively, we got this money from us, and now we're going to get more from helping you, but we don't need them in order to be successful. And some people in the industry, they don't even know how to, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'll just say this. They're using people for their success, and you just have to be careful who you attach yourself to.
Most definitely. I mean, you sound very grounded and really authentic, and I really appreciate that transparency, because that goes along with the trust piece of it as well. Listen, there's some shiesty people out here, and they should know better, but they don't. So it's all about educating people, and it seems like that's what you and your sister are doing, to educate, get the community support, teach the community, educate them as well. Now, at the end of the day, after all of the work is done, who is Kia Johnson? What's your hobbies, or what's something that people just may not even know, a fun fact about you?
Well, the one fun fact I'll say is that I can sing. I'm not going to sing here, so don't ask, but I can sing and I can act. And I've done a few things. I've been in plays and sang with my mom and my sister, my aunt, in our group that we off and on have. But one of the things that I'm most proud of is that I'm an author. I wrote a book of overcoming fear, doubt, pain, and shame. Is on Amazon, but it's a book that is really for you. The book is to help you to overcome all of these things that are holding you back by using the God that we serve. And it's scriptures in there, and basically it's a daily walk. Like, you read it, you try to apply that scripture. So not just read it, but you apply it in your daily life. And then it's like a diary. So you write in the book, what did you do to live that scripture that day, and what did it mean to you to live it? And it's a 31-day walk with God. And I am super proud of that. I'm going to have a next book after, because that was near and dear to my heart. Because, my mom, she thinks I can do anything. And she's like, I need you to write a book for this program I'm going to have. And I'm like, what? And I didn't feel worthy to write the book.
What?
And so the book that I wrote was this book, because I was like, how am I, I don't go to church every Sunday. I don't, always hold up my end of the bargain when it's time to sing and serve. So who am I to write this book? But that was the way that I was able to overcome that fear and that doubt and that shame, that pain. And I named it exactly what I was going through. But the next book I will write, because I wrote out what it was I was going through, and I was like, I'm more private. I don't want to put that all out there in these streets, but I'm going to put it out in the streets, because people need to know that no matter what you see, everybody struggles, everybody has pain, everybody has something from their background or something they did or, somebody did to them. And you have to forgive yourself, forgive them. You have to overcome that to move forward or you'll be stuck.
Wow. And what's the name of the book again?
It's Overcoming Fear, Doubt, Shame, and Pain.
Wow. On Amazon. Okay, you guys, get the book. Oh my God, that sounds so great. And it sounds like it's going to be a stepping stone for your next book and then the next. So,
Yes.
oh wow, I can see it. That's awesome. My goodness. Okay, so you said you sing. Okay.
Yes,
And I saw a little clip on social media where you was doing a little acting.
I can act a little bit. My husband makes me do a lot of things, but
oh my goodness.
What I will say is that he's an artist, but he's also an owner of a independent record label. So he wanted to do a re-scripting of New Jack City's court scene. So if anybody watched New Jack City, I played the prosecutor. And I must say it came out better than I thought it did. Because at the time I was just like, oh, I don't know if I did good. But thank you for mentioning that. But yeah, it was fun to do it. It was fun to get out of your everyday life and just step in and play somebody else for a change.
Most definitely. You did a great job. Now, what's the name of his label? We can give him a shout out.
Breezy Money Team Music Group.
Hey, Breezy Money Team Music Group.
Yes.
Okay. Y'all gonna be fine. Hey, listen, from what I saw, I loved it. And it was like, I was like, this is a real courthouse. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, my husband he's gonna always find a way to be different and to stand out. And yes, it was a real courtroom.
Yeah, that was cool. I love it. Okay, so tell us before we close, tell us something that may resonate with you throughout your life, or something that's inspirational, something to share with the audience as we close. Can you think of something?
Absolutely. When I was a kid, I was born with spinal meningitis, or I developed it. I don't know if I was born or I developed it. And the doctors told my mom that I wouldn't walk and I wouldn't live to a certain age, or I would be mentally challenged. But at the time they used the R word, but we won't use that here. Mm-hmm. And my mom was like, I don't care what you say, not my baby. She's a genius, and she's everything she spoke life into me. And I ended up being a genius on paper. But she wouldn't let me quit. And so one of the things that resonates with me all the time is whenever I feel like I'm, faltering, I go back to that and I hear my mom's voice always saying, get up, bend your knees back, walk straight, stand up, you can do it, don't give up. And I hear those cheers. So whoever was your coach in life, whoever made you do something, you were like, I don't know, I don't think I can, channel that person and just keep getting back up. Don't lay down, get back up.
I love it. Oh my goodness. What?
Yeah.
Is that going to be in your book?
It will.
Oh my goodness.
It actually is. I just have to do a final edit, but yeah, it was crazy. But I had to wear these little weird brown shoes.
Yeah. Almost like what Forrest Gump did with the shoes. What? Yeah. Wow, that's a blessing. Now that right there, that took it to a whole nother level, honey. Mm-hmm. So you're meant, your life had purpose.
Yes.
And you had to go through that so you can have this story.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kia. I'm gonna take you backstage because I almost can't take no more of this. Lord
Thank
Jesus.
you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm like mind just blown. I'm so excited that Miss Johnson just came and shared and just dropped that knowledge. No matter what life has thrown your way, you can overcome it. And the gem that she threw, channel that person who's your biggest supporter. Because sometimes we don't know enough to support ourselves, or we don't have that within us. But if you can channel that energy, you can be great like she is. That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to thank you all for tuning in today. I'm so excited that you all was here. I'm so excited for our guests and everything, all the nuggets that she shared. Now, if anything resonated with you, please send us in the comments. Let us know what resonated with you, and we love to hear some feedback. Don't forget to subscribe. But just know, if no one has told you today that you are loved and highly appreciated, understand that you are loved and highly appreciated, and your life is worth living. You will get to your purpose and walk in your destiny. But you have to keep living to do so. So no matter how tough it is, no matter what's going wrong, it's going to get a brighter at the end of that rainbow, and it's going to be brighter. Just keep going. And the only way to go through is out. You've got to get out of it to go through it. Okay, so listen, she done blew my mind. Anyway, thank y'all. So let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's go. Until next time on the Sheila C. Hill Show. Stay blessed.
Love family, CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above all. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here. We got it, reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show.
Hello, hello, everybody. I am Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, the host of the Tina Ramsey Show and podcast powered by CTR Media Network. And our show is all about motivating you, sharing knowledge, having upbuilding conversations centered around business, wellness, education, and life. We introduce you to some of the most amazing standout entrepreneurs and influencers who are truly making a positive impact in the world. They're willing to share their insight and knowledge with you in order to help you grow. And today is like any other amazing day. We have an excellent entrepreneur coming on telling us all about what she's doing and why she do what she does. But when you think about the words, yes, silver lining seeker, when you think about beacon of light in the midst of darkness, when you think of perspective shifter, these are the words that describes today's guest. Her name is Jennifer Hogue, like Vogue. Yes, and she is here to tell us all about herself. And she is a very creative soul with a wisdom of a sage and navigates life. And she does things in a very interesting way. And she has an infectious charm. But you know what? I don't talk about her enough. Let's just bring her on because you need to see her. Okay, let's go ahead and bring on Jennifer. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
I'm doing amazingly awesome since you are here today. And Jennifer, you have a resilient spirit, to say the least. And the fact that everything that you're doing, I really appreciate it. And when I think about you as a person, you remind me of somewhat of myself. So when you think about, because I want our guests to get to know you a little bit better, would you say that your life or your upbringing, how did it shape your perspective?
Oh, well, that right there. So my dad was one of those guys where he really understood the power of words and the power of feeling that and how it meant. So growing up, I was a little blunt, to say the least. And at a very early age, he was like, Jennifer, you can't really talk to people like that. You really need to speak to someone and think of your tone and the words that you're saying. How is that going to be received? So he gave me early on that analogy, that example where you have like a 6 on the ground and you're standing on one side and it's a 6 for you, but the other person, it's a 9. So you have to learn how to step back out of your situation enough to remove your emotion and really try to understand what it's like from the other person's perspective. Because although you may be right, you're right from the way you see it. But that doesn't mean that the other person is not right from the way that they see it. So it's really important to take all of that into consideration when you're speaking to someone and someone is speaking to you, is having that wherewithal and that knowledge to be like, you know what? They're saying what they understand from their point of view. Now, how can I make it match mine? So definitely different growing up.
Wow. You know what? Well, normally we be giving our kudos to our moms, but kudos to dad for helping you see the 6 and the 9. Okay. Kudos. And also helping you understand at a very young age the power of your words. And your words are powerful. They can use to heal or they can be used to hurt. And so the way that we navigate into life is very, very important. I appreciate, I never even thought about when you make the number 6, how on the other person's side, they're seeing a 9. I was able to visualize it as you're saying it. And I'm like, you know what? She right. That's right. And so when I think about that, is there any period of time where you can think of, Jennifer, that had a significant impact upon your life?
Oh, most definitely. Back in 2018, I was out here living life before we had the phrase that life was lifing. I definitely had a boot on my neck, and I was really trying to find me. I didn't really feel like, I felt like I had for so long been living everyone else's life and everyone else's dreams and everyone else's goals, but I didn't have my own. So I was desperately trying to find me. And I came across this social media post saying, to confront a comfort zone. So you would do a comfort zone buster. So I was like, okay, I'm for it. And my very first comfort zone buster, I did the first weekend in September, and I did a sip and paint. And most people would think that's real simple and not too terrible, but I was terrified. I was sweating profusely. My hands were shaking, like it was out of control. But I had to face the fact that I had a lot of issues with perfectionism. And that's what was starting to hold me back. So I told my best friend that there were a lot of things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a speaker, I wanted to be an author, and I wanted to be a life coach. I wanted to do these things. And my best friend, being my best friend, was like, I got you. She called me up one weekend. And she asked me what I was doing. Oh, she called me, it was on a Wednesday. She asked me what I was doing that weekend. And I was like, nothing, what's going on? She was like, great, I'm signing you up for a book writing challenge. And the book writing challenge is to be done within a weekend. You can do it. You got it. It's no problem. I have complete faith in you. And I was like, wait, what? And she was like, well, I mean, you want to be an author. You can't be an author if you don't have a book.
That's true.
Okay, you're right. You're right. Okay. Comfort zone buster. Let's go. And I actually made that happen, did it. And part of the challenge was like anyone who completed it, the person who was hosting that challenge, they would get the book published on Amazon. I was the only person in the entire group that did it. So that was major, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, you've done that. Hey, I came across this form. I just need you to fill it out and just do it. Don't ask any questions, just complete it. I said, okay. So she hasn't served me wrong at this point.
Wow.
And it's for a TEDx talk. Okay, well, Jennifer, you said you wanted to be a speaker. You need to get used to filling out these forms and the types of questions that they ask. So I'm just kind of working my way through this. And I fill out that form. And because it was due at midnight. So I didn't have a lot of time to think about it because she sent it to me at 9 p.m.
Oh.
Don't you love that?
Deadline.
Deadline. Who needs a deadline? And so I filled out the form and I got an email the next day that my submission had been accepted and I needed to come to Hilton Head, South Carolina that weekend to audition in person.
Oh my.
And I live in Maryland. So I had to get to Hilton Head, South Carolina, but we're going to do that. But I'm like, okay, it's preliminary. These are just the things that happen. So, I'm just writing this course because I'm doing comfort zone busters. And this is definitely well outside of my comfort zone because understanding, even when I used to go live on Facebook, I used to sweat profusely and I would shake. So what am I going to do on stage? And I get there and they loved it. And I was selected to be one of the speakers at the TEDx talk. And it was crazy because from that sip and paint that I did at the beginning of September to the time that I was on the stage at my TEDx talk was 90 days.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot.
Wow, that was a lot. But the fact that you was able to the comfort busters and then having someone, I say that everyone need at least one buddy, whether it's entrepreneurship, whatever. If it's dealing with education, someone that's gonna push you when you're not gonna push yourself, and they know your personality. So she knew that time wasn't your friend. If you get too much time in between, because all of this, what I'm hearing, I'm like, she didn't give her that much time on anything, so she wouldn't have time to. You wouldn't have the time to think about it, to not do what you needed to do. So, smart friend. That's a good friend.
Yeah, that's the bestie. That's my bestie.
Yeah, that's a good friend. She's smart. She know do it at 12 midnight and gave it to you at 9. Oh, yeah. She's smart. She's smart.
Yeah, just fill it out. Don't ask me any questions. Just do it. You want to be just do it to the best of your ability.
Okay. So in 90 days, it birthed author, speaker, and you're also a mother.
Yes.
Wow. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a commercial break and we'll be back in a moment with the amazing Jennifer and seeing what you guys can do, what I can do in 90 days. I mean, really, we'll be back in a moment. The Homeschooling Interactive Magazine is a magazine that embraces and celebrates the entire homeschooling experience. Our magazine is different from all the rest because we provide beneficial information and assistance in homeschooling, business, wellness, mental health, resources, and life. We encourage you to pick up a copy of our magazine today on Amazon.com by simply searching the Homeschooling Interactive Magazine. The Homeschooling Interactive Magazine is all about impacting the world through home-based learning, helping to de-stress the homeschooling experience. Get your copy from Amazon today.
Anybody that knows Tina, she's all about visibility. She's all about connection, and she's all about helping people create a source of income through monetization. And so, again, Tina is just really good at what she does. If you've not connected with Tina, if you've seen her show or heard her podcast and you're thinking about connecting with her, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. As a result of my connections with Tina, she has helped me with recruitment of speakers for my upcoming event. She's also helped me to recruit several authors for a few of the book projects that I have had the opportunity to produce in this past year. And in all, Tina's just a really great person, that she's genuine in helping entrepreneurs in reaching their goals. So again, if you have not connected with Tina, be sure that you do. the Tina Ramsey Show is definitely a great venue for you to connect with other entrepreneurs, to connect with other individuals that are going to be interested in your service or your project. This is Tiffany Bell. Again, you are watching and listening to the Tina Ramsey Show, and I look forward to being able to connect with you.
And just like that, we are back. And I come along with a friend whom you may ask, the amazing Jennifer. But before I bring her back, guess what? Did you just hear what she said before the commercial break? Let me reiterate. In 90 days, we talking about 3 months, she became an author and a speaker. And she already is an amazing mom. So for all of you sitting on your little tuchus, let me say the right name, the gluteus maximus, and you're saying, "Wish I coulda, shoulda, woulda, or I can't," honey. How long did you say, Jennifer, it took you to complete your book?
I outlined it on a Thursday, started on a Friday, and it was done on a Sunday. Weekend. I had a weekend. It was done in a weekend.
And see, that's my point. She did it in a weekend. Like, some people take years. Okay. You think you accomplished something, you take a couple of years. Oh, but I mean, she did it in a weekend. So that is just inspirational in itself. The fact that you was able to do something that's such a milestone, and being able, and that just shows the power of our words. Again, going back to what your father taught you early on, your words have power. Little did you know, by you saying those words to your friend, that those things was going to come into fruition, but come so quickly. Right. We hear this all the time, but we hear the progression of time, a long time. We're talking 90 days. And so there was so much that happened in those 90 days. Did anything else happen afterwards?
So that's kind of the crazy part, though. So after those 90 days, no, I said, like, I was in the process of trying to figure out who I was and what was going on with me and who is Jennifer. After those 90 days, I actually crashed and burned. And it was really hard for me to get everything back together because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I didn't have even though my bestie is my bestie, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have enough people around me to help guide me to like keep it going and like figure out the direction. Like I hit those milestones, but it was like I hit the milestones with like nothing else behind it. So that was kind of major. And so I fell back into, muscle memory. I fell back into being who everyone else wanted me to be and doing all the things that everyone else wanted me to be. And it kind of steered me into like, not a depression, but kind of a depression, because I felt like I was like I had a taste of who I could be, but I didn't know how to keep it. And so I dove into work and just kind of went from there. So that was not expected, but it happens because when you're just not ready, when it's just not time, it's just not time. But that doesn't mean that it's never going to be time again. So that's what I had to believe.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being so honest and transparent in that, because we always hear about all of the glory, but we don't hear the story. We don't hear the behind the scenes thing. And sometimes it kind of reminds me, your story kind of reminds me of a person who put out a song and all of a sudden it hits number one. And they hit all this stardom and acclaim, and everything comes at a rush. And then you don't hear anything. And you're trying to figure out what happened to them. They, like you, they probably was at that point where everything was coming at one time and they wasn't ready for all the things that it entails. But the good thing is you have people, you do have your friend, but you also had the realization that, hey, okay, this is just a reset. This is just a reset. And think about all the things that you accomplish. One of the most renowned, prominent stages that any speaker wants to be on is a TEDx talk. And so the fact that you was able to do that first,
right.
So the only thing you need to do now, you already hit the milestone. So now you just you go and hit the little stuff. You go hit the little stuff. Okay. So you're gonna have to do that reverse engineering. You went to the top, you gotta reverse it back and then work your way back again. And
I'm okay with that. And I am okay with that. I'm okay with all of that.
Like we work to get to the TEDx. And so, but I think that having your story and then having it such like it is so approachable. It's so real. And even though someone may have not had the experience of being on one of those prominent stages like a TEDx stage, however, they may have been on one of the a stage or done some or completed something that was high on their level of accomplishments, right?
Exactly.
To that point. And that's with entrepreneurship. You go, and you hit those milestones, and then all of a sudden, things go like this. Everybody hit it. They don't want to admit it, but everybody hit it. Okay. And during that time, it's a good time because it's the time that you can reevaluate, you can adjust. You are becoming the expert in this.
Yes.
Nobody talks about that everybody deals with. And this is becoming one of your messages that you can help people because everybody goes through it. I'm in a lot of entrepreneurship rooms and a lot of education, academic rooms, and everybody deal with this, whether they want to admit it or not. Okay.
That's the
part. But we don't really see that representation out for, coaching and all that stuff like that. So I feel that what you're doing in your life experience, and that's part of being a life coach, your life experience, I think this is going to be very beneficial and necessary because you are a problem solver.
I am.
So what are some things, because what people, they probably thinking, like most of us are thinking, so how did you start to get yourself out of the rut? Because many of us find ourselves in the rut. I know I have been in the rut, honey. I had to rebuild, restructure, like, I don't even know I can do this right here. Like, and then all of a sudden something sparked me and I get like a new idea to make something better that I already did, or in some cases drop some things that I'm doing in order to focus on what I need to focus on. So what was it? How did you get out the rut?
Woo. So y'all heard me talk about my best friend. That's my bestie. She's the one that got me through everything. Well, we're going to fast forward to 2020, and now it's COVID. And it's April of 2020. And she and I are very, very close. We are very touchy-feely. We hug each other all the time. And she lives in Virginia and I live in Maryland. Okay. And so during that time, finding supplies and certain things was difficult. So I found what was on her list and she found what was on my list. And so we met up in a parking lot. We did a little exchange and it was like, we can't hug each other, but high five from a distance.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, she had a brain aneurysm. So here it is, my best friend. She's a couple years younger than me, picture of health. And she's facing death at this point. And it's COVID. And I can't see her. And it was a reality check for me because I'm working at a job that's literally giving me chest pains and migraines on a daily basis. So I'm putting my life on the line on a daily basis for a company that I know, as much as they value my work, I know I'm replaceable. So she gave me a true hard life reality check that I need to figure out Jennifer again soon. And that's what I started working on. And I was like, you know what? All the things that I want to do, I'm going to do them now. We're not going to wait. I'm taking the trips. I'm hanging out with my mom. I'm doing stuff with my son. I'm seeing nothing is off limits. And in the course of me doing that, I found me. And it was literally because of impending death Not mine, but it might as well have been, because that's my best friend. It was a true reality check, and it definitely woke me up, because I'm really one of those people. I don't have to learn by going through it. I can be close enough to learn the lesson. Knowledge doesn't have to come just because of experience. And I truly, truly believe that. But that was it right there.
Ooh, we child. Now you just took me all on the roller coaster. I wasn't expecting that one.
Woo!
Tell you that took me aback a little bit. So that touched me, because I just had one of my close friends. They just passed away, so it just hit me. And I know when you seeing them and they doing good, and they're the one that's motivating you and pumping you up, and then they, facing that, it puts you in a different headspace.
Completely.
And all the things that you thought was so important, you realize some of those things not important, and what's important you need to go ahead and do now. And so the fact that you was able to see that and didn't have to learn from trial and error, you was able to see that example in your friend and be able to press and move forward and get you out of the rut. And so that started you. Once again, though, even through her sickness, she motivated you to say, wait a minute, I need to find myself. And all too often as mothers, in particular, or if you in a relationship of some sort, I don't know what it is, but as women, we tend to lose our identity. We become that friend, that significant other, that confidant, that whatever that person or persons at our job need, the cheerleader, whatever it is. We wear all these different hats like a chameleon, and we take on that big S superwoman.
Right.
I don't know why we do that, because I tell people about when I had lost myself and I had to find out, wait a minute, I need to drop all this here. Who Tina is. Drop them letters in the front and the letters in the back. Forget that. Who Tina is. And so
back to basics.
Yeah. So when you had that revelation, Finding Jennifer, I should say, sounds like a book. Finding Jennifer. What ooh, let me see. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about you finding yourself, and also talk about some more things, because we got to take another quick commercial break from our sponsor. And then when we come back, I want to talk more about you finding yourself and what that actually birthed, because I think this is something that's really going to touch a lot of our audience hearts, because they can see themselves within your story. So we'll be back in a moment with Jennifer, honey. Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com to join us and drive your trucking career to new heights. CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com. And just like that, we are back, and I come along with a friend whom you might ask, the amazing Jennifer. We back. All right. And so before the commercial break, we was having a discussion about what got Jennifer out of her rut and how Jennifer had to find Jennifer again. And due to the unforeseen circumstances of her best friend, her confidant, the one who been pushing her in these 90 days, facing a life and death situation, it actually prepared Jennifer to take a really hard look at what she was doing with her life and realizing, like, hey, wait a minute. I need to start learning and feeling who Jennifer is. And that birthed this amazing, tell us about your ebook? Because, honey, we need to read this ebook because you said you're an author. Don't you got an
Well-
ebook or a book out there?
I do. So the ebook is actually motivational quotes that I have actually coined for myself to get myself through. So it's like motivational anecdotes. It's a really quick and easy read, but I touch on a lot of topics, like of which one was death, because I lost, both my dad and my stepmother, and it was the process of going through all of those steps. And so when you're going through, and when you thought that you've dealt with emotions, you don't realize that you haven't until you have written them down. Sometimes speaking about it, you're like, oh yeah, I'm good, or just thinking about it. But when you actually have to physically write them down to articulate what's in your mind, it just becomes a completely different situation, which is why journaling is so important. You got to put, really, it's not about just having the words to those emotions. It's being able to see those emotions and release them into a safe space. And that's what all of that is.
I agree with you, because journaling is very, very powerful. And also it is a reminder. I remember having journals. I've been journaling, or back then we used to call it our diaries, now they call them journals or whatever. I'm aging myself, people. But anyway, it is therapeutic. It's like a release. It's just something that digital things will never be able to do. What the essence of pen to paper, or pencil to paper, however you want to write it. It does something. It connects with our brain and all our senses in a way to make things come into action. So you're right. Having those quotes, having those reminders are very, very important, especially when you're going through or have went through something, in order to help you really. You never really get over death, but you learn how to cope with it.
Right.
And so learning how you can cope, and in essence be able to be an inspiration or some kind of outlet for someone else who may not have your coping skills yet, that need kind of like a navigation, I would say, a compass,
Right.
so to speak. So your ebook is called Life in Quotes, a journal of revelation, transparency, wellness, motivation, self-discovery, and more. Can they get it on Amazon? Do they need to go to your yeah, they go to Amazon. So go to Amazon. And they'll be able to get you'll be able to get that book. But with that being said, people would think, wow, she already became an author. She already spoke on TED Talk. She already did all these things, right? But Jennifer didn't stop there. You have a passion for helping not only yourself, but most importantly, helping other people. So with that being said, what made you how can I say it? Did you ever think that you would have you a little podcast? Because somebody done told me something that you got a little podcast.
See, what had happened was see what had happened was I went through a whole period of finding me, doing me, getting to me. And during this time, I kept being told that I needed to get out there and speak to people, and people needed to understand my perspective, because I'm really big on transparency with yourself. And that's the hardest part. And so I will speak to people through me. Sometimes it's easier to take someone else's life as an example and then use that to figure out your own. So I do my best to be as transparent as possible with what I'm going through, and for my situation to resonate with you. You know what I'm saying? So to find that similarity, and then maybe you can take some of the steps or that perspective shift so that you can look at your situation just a little bit differently. So when it came to the podcast, a little birdie tapped me on my shoulder and told me that I needed to stop playing and I needed to get out there. And I like listening to the birdies that are in my life. I like listening to the birdies that are in my life, because it was time. It was time to get back out there. And it was 5 years. And it's kind of like, it's like a bamboo, you know, you walk for 5 years and then it's at the very end where you're suddenly seeing all the, starting to see all the work. I am now breaking through the ground because I definitely put in that time to figure out me. I'm the bamboo shoot. So.
I love it. I love it. And I understand the power of podcasting through and through. And one of my missions is helping individuals unleash the power of podcasting, helping individuals like yourself to tap into this medium, because this is what people are listening to. This is what people are doing. And the best way to impact and reach thousands or millions of people all over the four corners of the earth is through the power of podcasting. And we can go and travel. We can travel, but we're human. We can't do it so much, but that podcast can go everywhere and it never has to sleep. So the fact that you was able to take not only your speaking, your authorship, but now your voice, going back to your words. See, like that boomerang, it's going right back to what your daddy first started with you with that 6 and 9. It's going back, it's going right back to that. And then even though you did other things in the interim, it still took you back to your words, which means your voice. And so, what's the name of this podcast? Because I know they're like, where can I go listen?
So it's called Small Steps, Major Moves. And the reason for that is because it's taking these small, actionable steps in your daily life to slowly shift your perspective so that you can actually get towards your goal. It's basically ways to move yourself out of your own way, because I'm pretty sure a lot of us get in our own way, right? That's probably the number one. I'd be so much further along if I wouldn't get in my own way. Well, I'm here to help you get out of your own way. Just small little things where it doesn't seem like it's making a big change, which means that it's not overwhelming. It's very manageable. And as you continue to do it, when you look back, you realize, dang, I've actually done a lot. And I'm actually heading in the right direction. And I no longer feel overwhelmed. And I know my brain is no longer crowded and cloudy and foggy and filled with all these other things. Like I can actually focus now. So that's
wow. That is great. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come back and then we're going to have a little bit more conversation and then we'll say goodbye. So let's go ahead and take a commercial break and we'll be back in a moment.
Listen, if anybody's interested in getting into podcasting, grab this book. Go on Amazon, grab this book. It goes with me almost everywhere. This book has like a workbook. It has places you can fill it in. It tells you how to monetize your podcast. It tells you how to set it up. It tells you about sponsorships. Listen, go on Amazon, get this book. And this is the Bible for podcasters. Listen, it was ranked #1 in podcasting books. Look right here. Best new podcasting book by Book Authority. Right there. Boom. And a little secret. Y'all, when you grab this book, I think it's page 43. There is a code on there. Listen, you can get access to her class, her course. Get her course. It's worth hundreds of dollars. But this book it's less than $50. Grab this book on Amazon. I'm telling you, I carry it everywhere. She is the best. Grab this book on Amazon.
And just like that, we are back. And I come along with the amazing Jennifer. We back, girl. We back.
Hello.
All right. So before the commercial break, we was actually talking about, or I would say speaking about, how your life did that boomerang effect, went all the way full circle, ended up going right back to your roots of your father impacting your life at a young age, sharing with you the power of your words. And how to use them. And also you giving this great illustration of the 6 and the 9 and how different perspectives play a huge role in the way that we communicate and interact with each other, and how you was able to hit various milestones very, very quickly, 90 days. However, you talked about how you had to get yourself out the rut, the things that you had to do in order to do that. You had started your book. You are that TEDx speaker. And now we're at the next layer where you actually go back to where you began, your roots, your voice, your words, with small steps, major moves podcast. So where can they tune in to listen to this amazingness? Because we need these small steps, major moves. Because you give it to us little, don't give us no big steps. Give us a little step.
I mean, because if you think about it, I'm gonna tell you where you can find me. But if you think about it, if you had to climb up a ladder, would you want a lot of little steps, or would you want like 9 foot?
No,
you're not gonna do it. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna set yourself back. You're gonna fall off. We're not gonna do that. That's not what we're here for. We're here for.
Yeah.
But you can find it, my small steps, major moves, on Spotify, on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, and Overcast. There it goes.
All right. So you can find her basically on any places that are podcasting platforms, major podcasting platforms. You can check her out and make sure that you listen to her as well to get those small steps, major moves. For those of you who may be in a rut right now and you're needing that, you may not have a friend like Jennifer. You may not have a supportive circle that can serve your needs in this moment, because we have a lot of people in our life, but that don't mean that they can serve you for this particular part of your life, this phase, or whatever you're trying to achieve. Well, I feel like this podcast may be a great venue for you because she's giving you small steps, and we don't have no time to try to eat the whole cake. We need a slice at a time so that we can see the progress, so we can be motivated, so we can keep moving. So Jennifer, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your story, being so transparent, and also taking us through finding Jennifer.
It is a journey, and it's a journey for everybody. And I hope that everyone takes the time to find themselves, because that's who we need. That's why you're here.
I agree. And what I have found, seems like every decade you refine yourself again. It seems like every decade you get 20s is different from the 30s. The 30s is different from the 40s. You change, you grow. And so embrace it, grow and learn. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we go?
Can I tell you what my favorite phrase that I love to say to everybody?
You sure can.
There is nothing about you that needs to change, but there is so much left to discover. So let's do it together.
Woo, child, don't get me started. Okay. Well, thank you so much for giving us those words of inspiration. Jennifer, you stay in the back. I'm going to put you in the back room and hold tight, and I'll be with you in a moment, okay? All right, you guys, wasn't Jennifer amazing? Yes, she was. Yes, yes, and yes. For those of you who need that inspiration, who need that motivation, that accountability, I encourage you to go check out her podcast on today and go ahead and not just listen, but go ahead and hit that subscribe and follow or whatever it is on the platform that they have. You just click it so you'll get them notifications. But I do want to talk to our lovelies, yes, here at the Tina Ramsey Show. I want you to know that if no one told you this today, that you're worthy, that you matter. I want you to know that I love you and that you do matter. And I want you to do what? Until the next time we see each other. I want you to do what? I want you to keep smiling. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Tina Ramsey Show. Make sure to tune in, like, follow, share, and subscribe on all social media platforms. And we will see you next week, same time, same place. Have a great day.
Hello. I'm going to say I absolutely loved being on the Tina Ramsey Show. Her ability to be able to ask questions, her ability to be able to showcase a female, her professionalism, the communication, the razzmatazz of the entire outlook here on the podcast was absolutely phenomenal. And I'm honestly going to give her a 10 out of 10 when it comes to her podcasting skills. And I can say this with a lot of backing because I've been on over 100 podcasts. And I'm telling you, she's A1 in my book for sure.
Well, you have any closing remarks before we head out?
Y'all, please support the movement of CTR Media Network. I'm telling you, being a part of this amazing media family, I can't go wrong, right? They have the support. They support us in all that we do. When we have questions, they take the time out to advise and mentor. So definitely check out the different plethora of shows that are on the network. I promise you, and I'm not saying this because I'm part of the family, but I promise you, you will be uplifted, inspired, educated, motivated, all the good stuff that we all need to carry ourselves out through the day. So definitely go check it out, y'all.
Awesome.
A little later than we usually come on, but we are here nonetheless. It has been just a few weeks, huh? I haven't been on here in a couple of weeks. I've missed talking to you guys. I've been busy, but I'm certainly very happy to be here tonight. Hope you guys are doing good as we approach the end of the week. And we're talking about a very worthwhile topic. You know, something that we all think of, particularly as we start to change things in life just a bit, like many of us are doing right where we are, you know, in those prime years, as I like to call them, we start thinking about things. And one of the things that we think of is our legacy. You know, what is it that we want to have known when we're not here? What is it that we're building that we can pass on to someone? What is it about us that we want to make sure that people see, that even when we're not in their view, when they hear our names, something that they think about us, whether it be something that we have dedicated our lives to, something that we're really passionate about. What is it that our legacy? What is it that is our legacy? And what does it mean when we talk about wanting to make sure that we're leaving a legacy that is something that's going to make family members proud, that's going to make others that know you proud? What is it that we're talking about? So, one thing that you have to understand about legacy is that it really means something different in the context of growth and fulfillment. When you think legacy, you think you want to do something that's fulfilling. Something that's fulfilling is something that you want to be remembered by, something that you've made an imprint on, something that you enjoy, something that you feel has some meaning and is going to have some significance to other people. Legacy frequently focuses on things that we have grown, you know, things that we may have started from its infant stages and grown into full adult stages. That could be something that we see as a legacy. So those are the things that we think of, particularly, like I said, at this point when, you know, we have reached this decade, this whatever you want to call it in our lives, where things may look a little different for us now. What we thought may have been our legacy when we were younger, we really just don't even fathom thinking about that at this point. We've grown, we've matured, we've been through a few things, and we realize that truly legacy to us may look a little different. I frequently think of the elders in my family who have gone on before us, and they've left behind legacies that show entrepreneurship, legacies that show service, you know, and giving, legacies that show a real passion for working with elderlies, a real passion for being that home care person. These are the legacies that we've left behind, and things that many of us want to continue. You know, many of us feel are really an intricate piece of the quilt that makes up our family. And those are the things that we need to focus on. And those are the things that we want to build. So we're talking, of course, legacy, but I talk about how people who have gone before us have really left behind some legacies as examples. But there's some challenges in identifying what our legacies really mean. It is probably one of the biggest questions that we ask at midlife. And then, if we're not careful, we can really get ourselves kind of in a stuck place because we feel that we haven't achieved something in life, or we haven't made a difference somewhere, or we've spent so much time that we may think we've wasted on different things that we really don't have a legacy. So frequently at this point in life, we really start to struggle figuring out exactly what that is. How does that look? We look back, as I've mentioned already, at others who have really kind of left some legacies and set a pattern for us. And we start to think, well, what is it that I'm offering? What is it? Where is it that I can go with what I'm doing? What is it that I want to have for my children when I'm no longer here? What is it that I want to do with my community? What do I want my community to have that really represents my legacy? So it's not necessarily, of course, leaving behind possessions. That's totally different. Hereditary things. A legacy is something that you want to leave, that someone really feels in their spirit, in their soul, really feels that they have an attachment to. And that's not necessarily material things. It may be, instruction on something. It could very well be a gift that you're leaving behind in showing someone how to do something. That's instruction. Or it could be a gift that you're leaving behind in making sure that everyone understands the value of running a business, the value of being able to establish a community of people who are dedicated to a certain cause. Those are things that are legacies. We think of Rosa Parks, for example, who leaves a legacy of strength and determination and something for others to follow behind her, and knowing the importance of standing for what's right and pushing to break barriers. We have so many people who have left those kinds of legacies for us. Those are the things that we may want to think about and not feel as though we have missed out, not feel as though we have not accomplished anything, but really just kind of sit down and say, well, what is it that we want to do? What is it that we really want to have people to think about? Okay, so what are some of the things that really kind of challenge us in determining it? I mean, we're trying to balance expectations. We feel that others really set the bar for what our legacy should be, when in all essence, that is not true at all. We set the bar on what we feel our legacy is. We set the bar on what we feel is important to us and what we feel is something that we want to pass down. The fear of the unknown, how if this really isn't of value to somebody, how they really don't see any real value in what it is that I think is worthwhile. All of those things really do kind of jade how we think about what we're passing down. Now, what are some of the benefits? All right. What are some of the benefits of really legacy building? Well, number one, you are establishing something that will go on not just with you here, but in the generations that are behind you. It is establishing history. It is establishing, as I said, really another patch in your family quilt. It could be another patch in an organization that you're a part of. Legacy is just building upon what has already been established and going in the direction or establishing things further that really do correlate to what's important to you. This could be things that you leave that your children will be able to follow in your footprints and continue to develop a business, for example. I recently started the publishing business with my family, building legacy there, something that we as a family can grab a hold of and continue and pass down to my children and their children and so forth and so on. So you want to think about the things that are really important. What do you know, or what is it that you feel will make a difference in the world? That sounds so cliche-ish. However, what do you think will make a real impact? Those are the things that you want to be a part of your legacy. I'm sure they are. And those are the things that you need to think about. So what are some steps that you may want to follow in trying to determine exactly what is your legacy? Well, the steps in doing them, in establishing exactly what it is, doesn't fall far from the tools that I always mention that you need when making decisions, when making a change in your life. This really does follow along the same pattern. You may want to sit down and look at life and see what it is that you've established, that whole self-reflection piece that I frequently talk about, and writing in a journal and documenting things. Documentation alone establishes legacy. You hear of people doing the ancestry.com and so forth, going back in generations to find out exactly what may have been established before your generation and how you may be carrying that out and you don't even know it. But even better, continuing to document what you're doing now so that generations beyond you will be able to refer back to that. And goal setting. What are some of the goals that you have in your life? How do they relate to the legacy that you want to leave behind? Jot that. How do they relate to the legacy that you want to create, that you want to experience, you want others to experience who are coming behind you? What are the values? They point to things that really do kind of give hints to where your legacy, where it is that you feel you are making a real impact, and what it is that you want to do. We're at an interesting spot in our lives. We're midlife and we've been through quite a few things. And I guarantee you, if you look back at some of them and see how you've handled some of them, see how things have transpired, see how you've been able to grow some things, you will identify key pieces of your life that really you've already started to establish legacy. I know at one point, I think it was last year, I asked my kids, I said, well, what do you think my legacy may be? What is it that you see in a legacy as far as I go? What is it that you see in me that you feel may be passed down? And one of them said, your strength. I have yet to meet anybody who can take what you take. And it kind of made me laugh, because how frequently, if you're anything like me, you think about how you really feel as though you are on the cusp of buckling any day under pressure. And it is amazing how others look at you and start to value or start to think that, hey, the way they're handling it is really the way I want, or the way she's handling it is really the way that I want to handle it. I want to develop a legacy of trust, a legacy of faith, a legacy of perseverance, all of those things, because it's in the character that makes up the individual where that legacy is being established. So I don't know. It's funny. I don't see that is a real strong characteristic of mine, but frequently others are able to identify those things much quicker than you can. I frequently talk about my father and his legacy. His legacy was definitely one of service. And there's so many people who can attest to that, who can testify to that definitely being something that he did that they feel they want to carry on now that he is no longer here. So I want you to think about those things. I think about, as I said, people who have gone on before me, who are great cooks, for example, great entrepreneurs. My mom herself is one of great perseverance. So you just don't know unless you really sit down and give it some thought. And this is a great time to do that. Remembering that just because you're in your prime doesn't mean that you have lost years where you could have been establishing something. Look back in your history to find out what's there that you may be missing. Ask somebody else what they see in you that they think is going to be a strong legacy, and continue to build that. Build the legacy of business. Books, huge piece of what I do for establishing legacy. Words will be behind when I am long gone, and words that people can look at when they want to know more of what I was thinking at a certain time in life, what things were like at a certain time in life. And hopefully something that somebody will be able to grab a hold of as instruction and be able to carry out life and make life better because of it. All right. So that's it. Talking legacy, talking how it is in the mid years. Sometimes we get a little confused and a little downtrodden because we feel that we really aren't establishing something that really makes an imprint for us. Challenging you to look into life and sit down and spend some time to determine exactly what that is. Write down the kind of legacy you want to have and then work towards that and remind yourself daily, are you building what it is that you desire to build? All right. Just a little nugget for today, just a thought for Thursday for those of us in our prime. And I bring to you, of course, the things that are challenges for us in our prime. And of course, I give you tools for for helping you to deal with those challenges and for making you better. We have a challenge coming up next week, talking about challenges. The Unstuck Challenge. It's time to get unstuck. The Breakthrough Challenge. It starts on Monday. I'll be sure to provide a link here for you today so that you can sign up. It is absolutely free. Something to get you going as we go into this third quarter, well, the fourth quarter, forgive me, the fourth quarter of the year. So something to get you going so that you can glide into not only just this fourth quarter, but stride as you go into the beginning of the year. All right. So that's it. Listen, you guys have a great day. Have a great rest of the evening. Have a good weekend. It's coming up. Make sure you spend some time on resting. Make sure you spend some time on reflection, and make sure you spend some time enjoying yourself. All right. Go out, be courageous, be bold, be faithful in what you do, and be encouraged, and just know who you are. Know the imprint that you have, and know that you can make a difference. Go out and touch something and make it better. All right. You guys have a great one. Bye-bye.
Hello, hi. My name is Shayna Aspie. I am the family life coach. I'm coming to you today to talk to you about how homeschool education actually allows you to educate the whole child. Within being a family life coach, I have learned to observe children where they are, as well as bring to the forefront some of my techniques that I use from parenting. I also have written a program called The Right to Knowledge, which I teach in the foster care system, where I give them a great foundation of where to begin, learning the pillars of self love, family, community, education, and purpose, which is located in the Right to Knowledge program. As well as writing the program, I also have been called, I am also a 4 times published author. You can find a lot of my books on Amazon. I do want to introduce you to 2 books that were part of my foundation. One of them is called A Hero Ain't Nothing But a Sandwich by Alice Childress, The second one is called The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. These books were a part of my foundation in youth, and I'm so ecstatic about that. My mother introduced them to me. So, A Hero Ain't Nothing But a Sandwich is a story by Alice Childress that contains incorrect grammar, misspelled words, and a lot of slang. My mother basically told me what you will read would determine how you speak, and how you speak would determine how you write. So so grateful for this. The second book is The Miseducation by the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. This book I really didn't understand as a child, but as I became older and I reread the book, I understood what they were trying to explain. One of the things that they were trying to explain is that the education system that we're currently under within the public schools was only subjecting us to work in the factories. So we were only supposed to receive education to work in the factories and not to go further than that. Yes, it's true. So once you read the book of The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson, you'll be able to understand the public school sector a little bit better. My mother stated as a child that she would put me on punishment and I would go in my room and read a book. So when she realized that that didn't work, she decided to make me write book reports. So I'm grateful for that. Even these two stories as my foundation on life. It started my foundation, rather. Also, being a parent, also, I wanted to find the best type of education for my child. So within that, I took him to many different schools trying to find him a great education. The types of schools that I actually took him to consisted of an African centered school, charter schools, public schools, private schools, evolution schools, virtual schools, as well as self-directed education. My son was able to obtain a lot of different knowledge or information from all of these schools, which allowed me to observe and realize that our children actually learn more when they're actually open to a plethora of information as opposed to a narrow perspective of information. I loved it. Now, I can say out of all of them, self-directed education was definitely the best for me because it kind of gave me a grasp of who my son was and what area or field that he should go in and become an adult. And I was able to basically self-direct that with him and give him courses that would help him attain that information. He wants to be a language interpreter. So that means that we were to gain his, build his curricula according to that within a homeschool environment. Also, I believe that a lot of things that comes when it comes to the homeschool education should be started at home, right? So that means that we have to build relationships and start bonding with our children. And then bonding and building relationships and learning our children, we're able to learn who they are by observation. So when my son was younger, I actually observed him crawling around and going to the VCR tape that was on the floor or the VCR player that was on the floor. I saw him trying to put the cassette tape inside inside the VHS player. I didn't bother him. I just allowed him to continue doing what he was doing. But through observation, I noticed that he was consistent. He would not give up until he actually put that cassette tape, which inside that VCR player. This told me that the way he's going to learn by doing, but he's also going to be that type of person that's going to be able to accomplish anything that he put his mind to because he's persistent. That's through that observation, what it told me. Another incident that happened when he was a child was when he was in kindergarten. When he was in kindergarten, he was able to attain Student of the Week. While obtaining Student of the Week, he was able to eat lunch with some of his peers on the stage. He was also able to be the teacher's assistant. He received a certificate with that, and as well as his picture on the board. Within the next few weeks, he was acting up in school. And so when I asked him, like, Marcus, why are you acting up in school? Don't you want to be Student of the Week again? His response to me at that time was, Mom, You can only get it one time. I thought to myself again, wow, this kid is too smart. So I had to like be witty or outsmart him. That's what this told me. So those are things that through observation, that when building bonds, when teaching from home or homeschool education, that we can be aware of to help enhance those skills or other things so we can learn our child. That helps as far as homeschool education. Now, also through my observation of not just my child, but other children, I also learned that for every two children that people have, that one child is more left brain or more right brain. So that one child might be more left brain, the second one may be more right brain, but in understanding this, it actually completes the whole child, right? And the reason, my theory for that is that so we would not only have to support on ourselves, but we have to learn from each other. Now, triplets, twins, it's the same thing. They're all different, but one is more left brain and one is more right brain. We just have to acknowledge this and see it for ourselves. Now, with that learning, with me, by learning this, I understand my role within the village, right? So that means that they say it takes a village to raise a child. I believe this. Now, through my girlfriend's observations and friends of mine, they're able to show me things that I didn't even see because it takes us as a unit, right? But these are a few of the observations that I basically have observed. Another one is, again, like I talked about before, is the left brain thinker and the right brain thinker. Now, when it comes to children that's more left brain, they're more logical, rational, have objective, systematic, and they're great in math. They're the ones that people consist of as being more the followers, meaning that the data comes in and they're able to act within the data that comes in. Now, when the right brain thinker, he's the more creative person. They love the arts, they're great in the imagination, they're random, and they're emotional. Now, the ones that's the right brain, they're great at music, they love music, and they're great thinkers as well. Now, what I realize is that the system that we're currently in, they more appeal to the left brain thinker because they're more logical and they follow direction. Now, the right brain thinker, they're more the master builders. They call them the master builders because they're able to create and think outside the box. They're creative. If you ever seen the movie called The Lego Movie, it talks a lot about this. So the right brain and the left brain is definitely a great place to start to understanding who your children are so you can help them shape to become whole. And whatever they're missing, you can actually educate them on that or take education from a whole different angle to give them that wholesome type of learning or understanding. What I also realized is that in history, when it came to leaders, we always had two leaders. One was more left brain and the other one was more right brain. So here we have Malcolm and Martin. Now, which one do you think is more left brain and which one do you think is more right brain? So I say that Malcolm was more of a left brain thinker because a lot of his information he got from somebody else, but he was able to be self-educated. But the information came into him first, and then he was able to spew that information out. When it came to Martin, he was able to take the education that he learned from somebody else and create a whole movement of what he wanted to do. And he had to think outside the box in order to do it. Now, as time progressed on, those two people were able to understand more of the other person's learning style and that they were different. Instead of coming apart, they were starting to come together. But of course, that was later in their life and later in their learning. Tupac and Biggie, the same way. They were both great artists on different pages. One was more left brain and one was more right. I'm going to ask you, who do you think was more left brain and who do you think was more right? You tell me. I'm going to leave that one up to you. Now, my son was given an assignment a couple of weeks ago, and the question was, Do you feel that people or humans have stopped evolving? My thought was, no way have we stopped evolving. We are always supposed to grow mentally, physically, and spiritually. When we stop growing mentally and spiritually, we're in trouble. We should be learning every day, keeping our minds open to learn something new. I look forward to learning mentally, physically, and spiritually. And it's our jobs as parents to continue the growth of our children mentally, physically, and spiritually by observing what they don't have and teaching them what they need to know in order for them to move to that next level. And when they're ready, we should be adding on to that. And they'll be learning how to adapt to the environment that they're in and learn from other people around them. Learning styles. Different learning styles is definitely a great way to understand who your child is. Our children need to know that they learn differently, and we need to be, as parents, know how our children learn. This will actually help you in understanding who your child is if he doesn't do something to the point of where you thought he should do it to, or how he's learning in school. There's 12 different learning styles. Some of the ones that are different learning styles are listed right here on the screen. The first one is visual, a visual learner, an auditory learner, tactile learner, kinesthetic, sequential, simultaneous, logical, verbal, interactive, indirect experience, direct experience, and rhythmic melody. Now, the three types of learning styles that people usually adapt to within the school system or different places are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Now, a visual learner is the type of person who learns more by seeing. They have to sometimes watch a movie, see a video, go outside and see the views. The person that's more auditory, they're the person who actually listens. They learn by listening, maybe a speaker, a presentation, or by music. The person who is more kinesthetic, they actually are more hands-on people. Sometimes they have to be hands-on, get in the groove of learning how to do it by action. Now, there are some people that have a plethora of different learning styles. There's nothing wrong with you having different learning styles. So you might have to see it, taste it, touch it, smell it, breathe it, as well as do it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Another part of learning at home is creating characteristics. Our children need to learn how to have integrity about their character. That comes from having morals that are set in place or inside of them that they know if I do this, I'm going to look bad, and I have to set some type of standard about myself for me not to do something or feel bad about it. Another one is ethics. When it comes to ethics, oh my goodness, understanding that every cause has an effect. There's a consequence for everything, and every action has a reaction. And I should know this. That's going to morally, it's going to impact everything about my integrity or characteristic. When it comes to values, these are different things that I hold dearly about myself, and I value them. And then one of those things of value should be how we carry ourselves with integrity and our characteristics. Every time our children go out the house, they are representing us, and they should know that. And even their children, when they have children, they're representing them too. This is something that we need to think about. In the Family Life Coach, which Shayna asked me, the Family Life Coach, I actually have a creed that I have, the family sign, that talks about you as a person and what this family actually stood for and what we should stand for as a whole. Every family member actually signs this creed, and it becomes the family motto. I love this part. The Bible basically states in Proverbs 22 is that you train up a child in the way that they should go, and they will not depart from it. I feel so strongly about this proverb due to the fact that if a child goes untamed, uneducated, undirected, and they're just out in the wind. How do I know? Because A lot of times that was me. I didn't receive that whole education. And through observation and my own learning of looking at myself or self reflection, I was able to understand this. I had, of course, the education part when it came to school, but what I lacked was I didn't know my self worth. I didn't have integrity. I didn't know about characteristic styles and how important it was in order to understand that. I didn't know I had a different learning style until I got to college. But a lot of these things would have actually helped me in understanding who I was as a person, right? As well as self directed education. I'm following along and not understanding that I should be finding out who I was because high school is going to end one day and I have to go to college. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a very important piece. So that foundation of a child is definitely important. We have to learn that we have to shape and mold that and not leave other people to shape and mold that for us. That means that the current education or the educational system that our kids are in, a lot of us are working and we're not thinking about how our children are being trained up at school. Martin Luther King stated, I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of our character. Again, character is everything. Everything in this day and time, it should be about integrity. It is our duty as parents to shape and mold that character to become greatness. I hope you liked this presentation that basically gave you my views on education and how education actually helps you shape or help you educate the whole child, or homeschool education rather. Home attains the best type of education. Observation of children is definitely one. Growth and how we're supposed to be growing mentally, physically, and spiritually. Understanding your child's learning style, and maybe even the learning style that you may have that you didn't even know you obtained. Ethics, morals, and values become with integrity. We should hold our children with high standards, right? But that is only taught at home. The Right to Knowledge is a program that I actually taught or teach within the foster care system and everywhere that I go about self love, family, community, education, and purpose. These are the pillars because I believe that you have to have these pillars to set yourself off in life. If you think about self love, understanding who you are, self worth, and know that, then you'll be able to understand family. If you get in the family or you're in a family, you'll understand how to love family because you understand how to love yourself, right? And understand that everybody is different. But even though we're different, we can still come together as a family and learn from each other. And if you know who you are within the family, you don't have to worry about who everybody else is. You'll know your role and how to connect people everywhere else in the world. Because family, I believe, is the first set of people that you could deal with before you deal with everybody else in the rest of the world because you can't divorce your family. They're going to always be your family tomorrow. That's to teach you how to get along with other people. When it comes to community, I have to understand that what I do in the community or what I do in my house affects my community. And what happens in my community affects me. It's an indirect reflection. And I need to be involved in community so it can have the best output, right? Or the best outlook on life for other people and for myself. When it comes to education, we'll be forever learning for the rest of our life. Learning is not just a today thing, it's an everyday, it's a lifestyle. And purpose. Understanding to get to your purpose, you can go through these different steps to understanding that you have a purpose in this life and you will be able to understand what your purpose is by accessing or knocking on the door of all of these pillars. Being a family life coach is definitely enjoyable. You get to meet so many people and you get to meet so many different children and you get to work with them on so many different levels. But being a family life coach is so meaningful to me because of my foundation and how I was brought up. So I am able to teach and educate and have fun with the family and teaching them how to bond. There are many different services that we actually offer. You can look them up at www.beautifulbyshayna.com or you can call me at 803-415-9682. Thank you so much for this presentation. and enjoy your day.